Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to the Umzansi Esports League Season 3 brought to you by Nodwin Gaming. My name is Dr. Sid here with Ackfire and Snare, and we are bringing you some of the hottest action in esports in the African continent and indeed the world. We have had some amazing matchups over the last few weeks. This is week 3, and there is a lot of hot action that is bubbling up. We are, of course, we're talking FIFA today, but very quickly, let me just say, how are you guys? Snare, how has your week been so far?
Dark, my friend. It's been dark, but it's been good. I've been having a good time, and I'm very hyped for. This is gonna be the highlight of the week, and let me just put it that way.
Act Fire, what's up? I see some new lighting. You are looking fresh and pretty today. What's going on, my brother? How's your week been?
Yeah, I'm very good. I've been pretty much refreshed by the Nkosi Super Cup that happened on Tuesday, and that was really good. So yeah, my week has been absolutely great, meeting all the teams.
So we, while you were at the Nkosi Super Cup, we are here at the Umzansi Esports League Season 3. Let's take a look at the prize pool and what the players are competing for in the Umzansi Esports League. So, of course, as we see, this is the Season 3 prize pool of $17,500. Of course, $15,000 going to PUBG Mobile and 25 to I was gonna say 2,500, but $2,500 going to the players in FIFA 21, which is our game of the day. So today we're starting off with FIFA 21, two exciting matchups. Let's take a quick look at the leaderboard to see what's happening in the FIFA 21 tournament. Snare, do you want to talk us through this one?
So last week we got to see the Beast sort of unleash himself and finally put himself at the very top of the leaderboard, unseating unfazed. Today we do get to see as well some of the people at the bottom of the board. Middle of the pack has been Divak and Masoom, occupying the same position we've seen them across the Umzansi Esports seasons. However, Young Savage, Boba Beast, DarthMayhem, the new kids on the block, all of them have suffered losses that were somewhat expected given the competition. So it's going to be a while before we really get a better idea of where they rank up against all of each other. Especially because Mobizilla, we do not expect him to stay 8th. He's going to switch that up at some point. So I'm really excited to see what the young kids on the block are going to bring us, especially considering that 2 of them might not be here with us in the next season. So it's important to make sure that you get the wins that you can.
Awesome. Now let's take a look at our matchup for today. It is Young Savage and DarthMayhem. You know, Act 5, please talk us about what you've seen, what you've witnessed from these two players.
Definitely, mostly Young Savage. We saw his game against Unfazed. Unfazed is a player who is extremely skilled, extremely composed, but Young Savage is able to tear down that defense. I believe he's probably coming into this game as my personal favorite because he's got the skill, and yeah, I feel like he certainly has the edge when it comes to skill.
Amazing. We're waiting for our teams to get ready as we start or heading to our first game of the day. Is going to be a 2-leg tie, and we're going to take the winner over the aggregates of both matches. Now, we have seen some exciting gameplay over the last few weeks. I'm super excited to see what's happening to us. Axfire has said Young Savage has shown that he has some skills, but who is your pick of the day, Snare? Who do you think will be winning the game today?
I think it'll be interesting because Young Savage, like Axfire was mentioning, he went up against the best that has to be offered in the form of Unfazed, and he held his own quite well despite losing ultimately. I do think with DarthMayhem, though, that he strikes me as one of these players that just needs time to develop, that needs time to sort of get comfortable, figure out his exact playstyle. And I kind of feel like what we saw from him thus far isn't really the final product. You know, it's his first showing at this kind of stage, hasn't really settled into what the matchups might mean. So I'm kind of that he's going to be the wild card, the X factor coming into this one. Young Savage, we've seen the heights that he can reach. I don't think we've seen that from DarthMayhem. So for me, I think the main thing, whenever you have a kind of underdog versus underdog matchup, right, where nobody's really favored to go very deep into the playoffs, for example, it's always about who shows up on the day. Neither of them have yet demonstrated the same consistency that everybody else has shown. So I'm not sure that Young Savage is going to be out here on the day. I'm definitely sure that DarthMayhem hasn't had his day just yet. So I want to see what he's got to bring to the table today.
Awesome, awesome. And just a very quick reminder that only the top 4 players will be going through to the next round. So whoever's in the bottom half of that table definitely wants to step up and bring their A game. So I'm just curious, like what we've seen various metas and obviously some teams mostly going with the Neymars, the Mbappes, the Ronaldos, some very interesting icons, especially the Vieiras, the Gullets, and the Essien specifically. Are we looking to see any change up? I know that there have been some new cards that have been released. You know, the team of the year and team of the season cards have come out. Do you think that any of these new cards that have come out in FIFA will cause some of these players to switch up or to bolster their team in this tournament? Snare, I mean, I would like you to talk if there was any specific player you feel would make a difference in any of these teams.
It's kind of hard to just place what we've already been seeing as being super effective, right? The players that you've already mentioned, the addition of the Renato Sanchez's, the Donnarummas. I kind of feel like the only real difference that we might see coming out in terms of people making a sudden snap decision to be like, let's change this up. We did see one Eric Cantona early on, and I do think that has a little bit of potential as a sort of target striker that sort of guarantees goals in. We sort of saw a lot of players using Ronaldo early on to fill that same role, but people have started favoring the pace of Messi, of Neymar over that. However, I think Cantona can give you sort of the best of both worlds, right? Not the best pace in the world, but very tight on the ball. But the big thing is that if he gets the ball, it's going into the back of the net. So that might be the one new card that we see coming in. But I kind of think the meta is kind of locked. The players are a little bit good in too many situations.
Wow. Now we're going to definitely need that versatility. Actfire, looking at these teams in terms of the defending, what would your advice be to a lot of these players while defending against some very, very skillful players? I mean, sometimes we see a lack of link in the midfield. What are we expecting from these players in terms of defending?
Going by a couple of games that I've seen so far, the defending obviously has to be tight, has to be predictive. You gotta stop those true balls from coming in, and yeah, just predict your opponent's moves. But I mean, judging from how things could change up, any particular second, it's all down to the creativity of your opponent, and how they break down that defense. But just keep things tight. But for me, the best form of defense is always to attack, always to keep pushing the ball, score as much goals as possible. Yeah.
The best form of defense is definitely attacking, and we are waiting on our players to start the match so we can go live to see the action between Young Savage and DarthMayhem. It is going to be lit. This is the Umzansi Esports League Season 3. If you are not following Northern Gaming Africa on all our socials, you need to do so right now so you stay up to date with the latest action coming out of the best esports in Africa. As we go live in the kickoff, I leave everyone in the very capable hands of Snare and Actfire as they talk you through the action of today's games.
Thank you, Mr. Sid. And now getting into it, Actfire, we talk about a lot of these players. We see a lot of them already, your Vieiras, your Mbappes, and we see the way that this game is going to be set up, given that these are both new kids on the block, no obvious underdog, nor is there an obvious top dog here. So who do you think is going to be the first one to break things through? You favored Young Savage, but given the way that this team is set up, is he going to be the one that finds the first goal?
Definitely, I do think he's one of those players who can break down even the tightest of defenses. We've seen that against, Unfazed in that game, and to be able to switch things up like that, he might just be able to just, find those loopholes in any particular team. I do feel like he has that, definitely.
Let's see if he's going to be able to exploit that here as time goes on. We do see now that there is a possibility of a deep run now. Mbappe on the ball, get it through onto Kyle Walker. Neymar, is he going to be able to find the ball in is going to be the question. Looking for it right now, getting to the middle of the box, but it's forced out. Straight corner kick early on.
Absolutely close.
So unfortunately, they wasn't able to do anything after the ball itself went out. So now the question is, right, we've seen for the most part a lot of the top echelon players rely primarily on their clinical skill to finish out a lot of these games. Both of these players, we've seen them being very flairful from their time on the ball. So if it's Flair versus Flair, who's got the most? And we might have an answer right here. Neymar in the box, looking for the dribbles through, all in the middle. Oh, can't get squared with the pass. Just possession will come out. Oh, that was lovely.
And that's the difference between a lot of teams like this. Oh, but this is one chance I might get in.
Young Savage. Young Savage puts it into the back of the net. I was just now throwing shade on Ronaldo, and now here he is out here getting the first goal of the matchup.
Exactly. This is exactly what we've said, you know. Ooh, all right, a little bit of network issue there.
Yep, looks like we just have a little bit of a technical issue here, but one thing we can still talk about when it comes to the game, right, is we saw very deep incisive pass coming in from Young Savage, right? And the difference that we've generally seen between the lower ranked players and the higher ranked ones has been the clinicality of those kind of passes, how deep the searching pass can be. So do you think from what we saw thus far, just in terms of how that goal happened, that we can already label Young Savage as having that kind of advantage? Or is it something that we still need to see as the game develops?
Yeah, you can see the difference between, you know, the way Young Savage is structured in his defense. He is ready for, you know, different types of attacks. And I think also the game from Unfazed would probably have prepared him, you know, to keep himself solid both in attack and in defense. Whereas on the counter attack, you can see there was a lot of space in his opponent. So yeah. You aside from that, you got to take your chances when you do get those opportunities. Both parties did get their opportunities, but Young Savage just took his, and it's at the back of the net.
At the back of the neck,
Young
indeed.
Savage is beast, though.
So I think one of the things as well that we saw from that game was the difference in the way they set up their defenses, right? Young Savage was not necessarily pressed very high up. He was absorbing quite deep, a lot more than we've seen a lot of players do thus far. His DM wasn't actually playing in the midfield all that much. Was also just pressed very deep, waiting for the ball, and then was able to develop the ball slowly up the pitch, gets the chance, like you said. So what adaptation do we have to get from DarthMayhem, just to make sure that he can come out and at least draw this game out rather than, before he's even thinking about winning, what does he need to do to get a goal?
He just needs to make sure that he keeps himself solid, because now that Young Savage has gotten a goal, he would, you know, have more confidence throughout his entire game. So DarthMayhem has to, you know, keep putting in that pressure, but make sure that he keeps himself conservative at the back, you know, and not allow a second goal go in. And if he can get, you know, another goal going into the second leg, he may have the opportunity to come out fighting. But it certainly just looked like, you know, Young Savage has more tricks up his sleeve. But DarthMayhem still, nothing on him. He does have some, you know, flair about his gameplay. And that may work for him.
All right, so we just have an update about what's been happening. We did have a power glitch. Unfortunately, the issue I was mentioning regarding Darkness earlier is affecting some of our players as well. But he will return shortly. In the meantime, something I also want to ask you about, Mr. Actfire, is since he does have the advantage on the Young Savage side and he's already gotten himself this kind of goal, what do you do in terms of your mentality for DarthMayhem, right? You were mentioning that the best form of offense, or defense rather, is just a blistering offense, pushing the ball forward as far as humanly possible. Does he do that, or does he try and wait for a chance to come back into this one, given that it's not just the fact that he's even in an underdog situation, he's now a goal behind?
Waiting against Young Savage is pretty much suicide, because at the end of the day, sooner or later he's going to put the ball at the back of the net. So what you want to do is keep putting pressure on him, keep attacking and trying to outscore him, because Young Savage is definitely going to score again. So, I mean, if he's going to win, the scores is probably going to be a 3-2 at the end of the day. So he has to go on the offensive, not
I'm watching Young Savage. He's defending really, really well, not giving DarthMayhem any opportunities in the box. Mbappe's tried a few things, Neymar's tried a few things in the box, but nothing seems to be going through. But then again, it's one of the things that I noticed in FIFA 21 is a lot of people do get caught up in skill moves, but sometimes just keeping it very simple and playing the simple passes actually can break down the defense. If you look at the goal from Young Savage, it was a very simple pass, through ball down the line onto Ronaldo's pace, and a fantastic near post finish into the top corner. Very simple football. I mean, I played a little bit of FIFA myself, and I realized that even when you play things like pro clubs, you get caught up in wanting to do all the skill moves and all the and everything. But sometimes just a simple pass gets the job done. And I like the fact that Young Savage's goal showed that sometimes the simplicity is where it's at, and and the great players obviously know when to turn the style on and especially when to turn it off.
Yeah, absolutely. For a second, I thought you were actually going to say that you played a bit of football yourself. I was going to say in before Juventus, Sid, but you're definitely right there.
I wish. I had dreams, but now it's all with my thumbs, fingers and thumbs, pushing buttons. So we are waiting for the players' feet to come back. As we do know, we are in Africa, and there power outages do occur. Well, power outages occur around the world. And I guess we are back. Gentlemen, I leave the viewers in your capable hands.
Wonderful. With the return, fortunately, we do get the game state right back where it was. 1 goal in it. It had just happened, so we weren't in a situation where something weird was going to happen. But another goal may come out here as Young Savage has a towel on the ball, trying to get deep. This might be another one, but fortunately, DarthMayhem has cooled down a little bit. I think that a little bit of a pause might have been good for him, Akfire, to make sure he doesn't make a mistake immediately after conceding a goal.
Yeah, exactly. And it's probably giving him time to think about what his next moves could be in this particular one and how he's going to attack this. You see, he put in the pressure right now. Woo. So close.
Could not close. The whiskers away. Well, the situation was almost there for him to get a goal back. Doesn't end up happening. Still, but it's a good side of life, right? He's showing some threats. Not going to be dominated in the game. To play on the side of Young Savage if you want to secure a victory here.
Yeah, exactly. But I do feel like so far in this game, Mayhem has sort of been tending towards that left wing a lot more. It does seem like every single time he's proceeding with his attack, he's always, trying to go from that left wing. And it probably might be making him predictable to Savage in defense.
Let's see how Savage can exploit this though. Deep run, Neymar. Some adaptation has been happening here. Mendy immediately able to cover on that left flank. Make sure to keep Neymar at bay. But this might be a bit dangerous. Young Savage with the set piece. That wasn't supposed to happen. Don't worry, Young Savage. Nobody saw that, fam. It's all good.
All right, Mayhem just has to keep his nerves right now. Just sort of, try to get back into the game slowly. If he could get that 1 goal and just keep things tight, he may be able to sort of snatch this game back.
Let's see what he's going to be able to accomplish here. Does unfortunately run out with the ball. There was an opportunity perhaps for Neymar to get into a slightly better position, but you take what you can get, gets muscled off the ball, and now Mbappe, here it's going to be Young Savage's turn. What can he make happen? His own Mbappe finds a space. Renato Sanchez inside the box right now. The cross back into the middle, but nobody's on the other side except for Vieira, who gets there first, ensures that there will be absolutely no contact. And now a bit of a careless cross to the other side of the park, but at the very least he does prevent a goal from coming in from Young Savage.
Woo. You can see the way Mbappe is just running riots right there on that left wing, and at the same time Ronaldo's threat on the right is just keeping, Mayhem, it's just giving Mayhem like a whole lot of headache, on how to control and stop those attacks. Being dynamic in the way he approaches his next moves is what's really causing a whole lot of trouble. But just tiny mistakes might be costly for Savage if he doesn't curtail them. A better player could have put those balls in the back of the net. Imagine being against a player like Unfazed and you make those kind of mistakes.
Yeah, I really thought they were going to be able to find the goal from DarthMayhem, but unfortunately, perhaps the run with our great as like the cam to just run the ball deep forward, but slotting it into the back of the net, not necessarily the specialty of that player. Unfortunately, Mbappe, Neymar weren't necessarily in possession. He has the ball back though, so he's going to try again. And we're speaking about Eric Cantona, he's one of the few players that is actually playing the man. Hasn't been able to have any influence in the game, however, been kept completely quiet thus far.
Yeah, his pace is definitely not. He's definitely not as fast a player as the likes of Mbappe or Ronaldo or Messi, but he definitely does have his own strengths. And yeah, while he may not be in the game as often as the rest, he may provide that 1 minute of magic.
Well, right now, in desperate need of some magic is our boy here, DarthMayhem. As it stands, he's down 1-0. Going into halftime, a little bit of a second to assess what's been happening. Not really deciding to make any changes thus far, it seems. So we'll come back into this one confident in what he's been able to bring. And to be fair towards him, since he conceded that one goal and the one chance that came right after we came back into the game, it actually hasn't been the case that he's been being ran over. He's been playing fairly tightly with Young Savage, and one could argue and say he's been finding himself in better positions. Like now, he's inside the box. João Cancelo gets the ball back onto Atal, who finds the goal. Young Savage will now find himself drawn up by Mayhem as the goal is scored. The draw is up. 1-1 is now the scoreline at Clover.
I did not see that coming from Mayhem. You know, him just getting in. You could see how Ronaldo just bulldozed his way all the way from, you know, that right wing. It was definitely not what I was expecting. You could see in the first half, Savage had answers to, you know, all of his attacks from the left, and this was one of those times where he sort of like switched things up, and yeah, he got a goal. So yeah, that was a bit different from Mayhem. If he continues down that line, he may just get more chances.
And they decided to switch it up, and we saw him there make a very deep overlapping run with the wing back. So there is been a bit of a change in terms of not necessarily the formation, but how he decides to play it. Does leave you a bit more vulnerable on the counter attack, but it doesn't matter if you are able to get the goal quickly and immediately reset back on your side. And right now, we'll see if he can hold off an offensive maneuver here from Young Savage. Renato Sanchez gets blocked by Renato Sanchez. Ultimate Team is really fun.
Yes, exactly. I do love what I'm beginning to see now. It does look like Mayhem has a lot more confidence, but he still needs to keep his defense solid, because every time he tends to go forward, a lot of players do overlap.
This might be another goal like fire. He's looking for it. Atal on the edge of the box with the dribbles. Oh, contact on the ball forces it out, but he actually dribbles it out for a goal kick. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, very unfortunate. I mean, the way the game's going right now, you could see that Savage is a bit more confident. That, you know, from the way he's playing, that he could definitely get a chance. But I mean, the way he's moving right now, this could be.
Oh! What a save! Goalkeeper keeping them in it. Seemed like a guaranteed goal there, but somehow gets a glove to it. Forced out for the goal kick, and now João Cancelo an assist, and now a key tackle, keeping Mayhem in the game, and a deep cross. Not going to be able to get past Kyle Walker, but yet again providing a different kind of threat. I don't think that Young Savage anticipated having to deal with aerial threat coming into this one.
Yeah, exactly. You can see. I see a lot of players do that sometimes, where they're trying to, you know, create sort of like a forced error from their opponents. You know, just you know, putting that true pass, and maybe the defender might just make a mistake and the ball could be at the back of the net.
Like that? Like that? Like that?
Like that! Just like that!
Woo! Woo! DarthMayhem pulling through exactly what he was mentioning. The through pass forces a bit of movement. Just a tad too slow to track Neymar. Neymar gets on the ball in that position, never gonna miss. 2-1 up. And DarthMayhem, this is what I wanted to see. Didn't think he's shown us his best, and now we are starting to see it. And Young Savage, who was favored coming into this one, now finds himself with a 1-goal deficit.
Yeah, exactly. You could definitely see that now Mayhem is beginning to get more into his game, beginning to get more structured about how he plays, putting in those true passes in, trying to read his opponent, and play more dynamic. You can see in the first half he was just playing through that left wing and was pretty much predictable. But he started off this one, doing things differently, and yeah, he's had himself a couple of goals.
Oof. He almost got exploited there. There was a little bit of space. You were mentioning in the first half that movement, that one time Young Savage made a few mistakes and didn't get punished. Just saw the same happening for DarthMayhem. I feel like in the first half, Young Savage would have been able to get through with the punish, but now he's feeling a bit frazzled. Let's see if he can get the goal back here. Mbappe blocked off with the cross, gets back on the ball, doesn't get it go out. It actually keeps his composure, gets it back to Cartel. The game now drawn up 2 apiece. And we're back to even.
That is stuff of champions right there. That definitely is stuff of champions. You remember when we got into that break, I did say if Mayhem's going to find a way to get into this game, he's got to attack, he's got to keep going forward, and that's exactly what he's doing. He keeps trying to break down those defenses in different ways. So yeah, he's got to keep doing that. But Savage is not giving up right here. He's not defeated yet. He still wants to show those skills, and yeah, just moving forward. As you can see here again.
Try now. With the final moments of the game inching closer and closer. What can he make happen here? Mbappe deep into the box. He was the one that supplied the goal earlier. Somehow kept the ball from going out and ensure that it got into the feet of Cartel. Not able to do so this time around though. So maybe the last day of the game will go the way of DarthMayhem. Ronaldo cannot get past Mendy. The flank is secured. He's very back and forth, and even to the dying moments, we still don't know who's going to come away on top, but now it might be Young Savage. Cartel finds the space. He's into the box, into Ronaldo, but no! Overshoots the pass. Oh my god, too much power, too much power.
Yeah. I feel like at that particular moment, he was just way too anxious. It seemed like it was probably a goal in his mind before the ball was at the back of the net.
Sometimes you see the future, but somebody intervenes to change destinies. Terminators got sent back. They blocked the goal. This is still even. 2-2.
This is a very even match between 2 players who, have different styles of play, but they're pretty even when it comes to the quality and strength that they both have. I do feel like going up against different opponents, they need to sort of sort out some of the errors that they both make.
It's pretty obvious that they are still very rough, right? These are not the finished product just yet, but a lot of promise from both of these 2 young boys here, and we do see 2-2 being the final score in leg number 1. Neymar consoling Neymar about not winning. Good game overall. The draw, I think, was probably a fair reflection of how the game actually transpired and went going. Initially, it was Young Savage who presses that initial tempo and looks super, super good. Suddenly, you have the adaptation coming in from DarthMayhem, and then Young Savage himself finding a little pocket of space and showing his clinical quality. So I do think that it's fair that it ends 2-2. Either player would have been heartbroken to lose this one. And it sets up for a very exciting leg 2 Act 5.
Yes, definitely. You did see, Mayhem fighting back. It was definitely lovely to see, but he still needs to work on a lot of tiny little mistakes that he does make in defense. But then again, you can't take anything away from Savage. In just tiny little seconds, just tiny little moments, he does rise up and just makes those quick passes and puts the ball at the back of the net. He did that against Unfazed, where he got those 2 quick goals, and yeah, he always has that fighting spirit. So who knows? He may still be able to win this second leg.
So who do you think is going to blink first and start making the most changes? We did see in the first matchup it was DarthMayhem, but to very great effect, starting to make better use of the overlapping runs with the wingbacks. So what do we see now? Because I do think that Young Savage will probably feel to himself that he should have been able to win this one, especially with his start. He will not feel happy that he sort of had to rely on a mistake from DarthMayhem to happen to get his own goal back. So if you're him, do you make changes, or do you say to yourself, you know what, all I need to do is just breathe and stay calm, and I should still be able to win this one out just on quality?
I just think what he just needs to work on right now is just tired legs, especially in that defense. just to make sure he just has a couple of players who can still, go toe to toe with, the likes of Ronaldo and Mbappe from his opponent. So yeah, that's pretty much what he needs to worry about. But on the attack, he just needs to keep going, keep doing what he's doing, and yeah, he'll get that goal at the end of the day.
One of the things that you're also mentioning about how is these players need to avoid making as many mistakes as we saw happening, right? Obviously, high pressure situations, those kind of mistakes are natural in these environments. But one thing we also didn't see is we didn't see as much capitalization on the mistakes as we might have seen from some of the other higher echelon players. We did see the one, of course, from Young Savage, which led to him getting a goal. But talk to us about how do you actually train yourself? How do you get better at exploiting those little opportunities where you recognize your opponent has made a mistake and you can capitalize on it before the person can react?
I think the difference at this level is not even waiting for the opponent to make a mistake, but forcing it. Putting your opponent in situations where they actually do tend to make those mistakes and being ready for when they may potentially make those mistakes. You could see Mayhem did that with that true pass. You're creating a situation where the ball may go through, and then Neymar is there to just pounce on that if he does make that mistake. So yeah, I think at this level, that's pretty much what the players do. Creating those moments where they force the error.
We'll see what kind of errors can be forced out as we're getting ready for the second leg here. DarthMayhem and Young Savage. It is 2 apiece at present. And because both of them have already lost their opening matches here, one of them is going to be, at the very least, actually, it's not a guarantee that somebody wins, right? It might end up being a draw, which would be deeply unsatisfying for pretty much everybody, but it will also give them something more to strive for. Wouldn't it love to see it if this was like a small rivalry that developed between these two and they can never win? That would be fun, right? That would be enjoyable. Always love to see
Yeah,
that.
definitely fun. Definitely fun, especially because there are goals between them. So if this match ends up being a 4-4, that would be really nice to see.
Well, let's see if a 4-4 is going to happen, as now we're getting into the second game, leg number 2, kicking off. And here we go. DarthMayhem against Young Savage. Winner of this will be able to grab their first win here in the Umzansi Esports League Season 3. Who is it going to be? Not going to be that much tactical changes from either lineup. Young Savage on the ball first. He was able to get a blistering run early on in the first leg to get a goal. Is he likely to do that again, Agfire? Or has DarthMayhem adapted enough that it's not going to happen?
Yeah, I think as the game goes on, you tend to understand how your opponent moves and what his strategy is.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. That was some of the most ice cold finishing you'll ever see. DarthMayhem gets a pass out of nowhere. Natal finds himself on the other side of that pass and secures the goal. Like it's nothing. Past the defender, past the goalkeeper, into the back of the net.
There's something I've seen so far that Savage has been struggling to deal with when it comes to Mayhem. It's those true passes, but not just that. The ability for, Mayhem to create those situations like we talked about, those first errors where he can just, have that player who's already on the run and just hold off the defender at that last moment and put the ball at the end of the net. So yeah, it does seem like a skill that he's honed over time, and he's beginning to show us his game.
Young Savage now for the first time going to be behind in the first half. He was behind overall in the first matchup before he was able to come back in leg 1. Now has the deficit once more. Can he claw his way back? Playing very high up with his line, because he recognizes that once you're in leg 2, draws are not good enough. You're trying to get this W, and losses especially cannot be tolerated. Needs to be careful of counter-attack, but he's still on the ball right here. Atal can't get it back onto Ronaldo though. With the back heel pass, Mbappe easily able to get on the other side of that ball and just clear it out for safety.
Oof. All right, it is time for Savage to pretty much just go guns blazing right now. Just let everything loose in that attack and just give his all. Being composed against Mayhem right now isn't going to work. If he wants to win this game, he has to go all out.
I think that's also the frustration, right? In terms of the play style that we've seen from both of these guys today, the nature of how Young Savage has been successful doesn't just being purely composed, right? It relies on what you were talking about, goals and flair. That's how the guy gets his name. But now, this might be a goal with some flair, but a little bit too heavy on the final touch. It rolls out of possession for a goal kick.
Yeah, I do think I see Savage trying to be, over composed about, how he structures like his entire game. But he needs to just be that player we've come to know, who just goes out there with that flair and keeps creating chance upon chance.
Being stifled right now by Mayhem. DarthMayhem. Wonder what tricks he learned from Palpatine, but whatever they have been, proving to serve him well thus far. One goal up. Can he keep this advantage? Mbappe. Looking for the dribble past Cancelo. Not able to do it just yet. Does draw a corner, so this time around there is some degree of advantage gain, but goalkeeper just gonna punch that out of the air. No goal gonna happen from this one.
Definitely. Now you see Mayhem on that attack again with that true pass, almost going through. Oof.
The summer around
he's finding in those spaces.
Speaking of space, Atao. I think he actually might have held the ball up a little bit too long there. It felt like there was a second of additional space that Neymar had that he could have exploited. And now that he can't find it, we might see another through pass blocked off. Does seem like Young Savage. He's been listening to you, Akfire. He's adapted. He's learning. When triangle/Y is being pressed, defend and be ready.
Exactly. He is absolutely ready. You can see it from the way he's playing. He's adapted to sort of like, the kind of pressure that the first leg had, and yeah, definitely he's come out and seems like an almost different player from the one we saw in the first half of the first leg.
Speaking of different players, a player there almost made the difference. The ball cuts across goal, but unable to find itself in the back of the net. So we still stay with DarthMayhem having an advantage. Playing on advantage now. Can't get the crossover. Does seem like we've seen a lot of adaptation, like you mentioned, not just in terms of how he's been dealing with the through passes, but the aerial threat as well. He's been shutting down the main weapons and threats of DarthMayhem. As a result, despite the fact that Mayhem is ahead, we spent most of this half sitting here in the final third, sort of waiting in anticipation for a goal to come out of Young Savage, and it might be this one. Renato Sanchez just possessed at this last second.
Whew. That was absolutely close. I was expecting Savage to just, do like a cheeky skill right there and turn and just, put the ball at the back of the net. But I don't know. It does feel like the nerves are getting to him right now. He does need to calm down in that final third and just get that goal, because he's creating the chances, so he needs to take them.
And right now, Young Savage being an incarnation of Team Over, all the challenges, all the space, just the opportunities not being converted. But this might be the one here, holding up the play. Ronaldo back to Neymar. Neymar, no way he's gonna miss. Neymar gets the goal. 1-1, back to even Stevens. And Young Savage.
That was savage. Woo. That was absolutely savage, man. I love to see that goal. Woo. Man, the way he kept his composure in that final third, just like we were saying before that goal happened, he always does have those tricks, finding the right pass, the right player to, take the ball to.
Halftime comes. It really did feel like that goal was inevitable, right? He was probing, he was searching, pass after pass after pass after pass. And like you mentioned, when he finally gets the moments of composure he needs, he can slot it into the back of the net. I mean, look at the possession stats, 72% in favor of Young Savage. So despite that early goal, this is somewhat reminiscent of leg one, right? Where the first goal comes in from Young Savage, but then immediately DarthMayhem changes it up. And once he gets his first goal, he seems fully in control of the matchup. We're going to see if Young Savage can do the same, and if DarthMayhem can do what Young Savage did and adapt fast enough to deal with this. Because now, without those through balls, without the aerial threat, and with the dribbles not really working because of how tight the defense is from Young Savage, the question is, Fire, what do you do if you're DarthMayhem?
Definitely, nerves are always affected when you're the one who just recently conceded. So you're always looking to get back, into the game. But I do believe he should just continue what he's been doing. Not change things up. Just keep that defense composed. But now Savage looks like another player entirely. Oh, that was so close.
What a tackle. You wanted a composure? Well, you got it. As he doesn't blink, DarthMayhem able to keep this scoreline level. Looking now for the interplay between Atal and Odishik. Can't really find it. So that was a very meaty challenge from Kyle Walker, but it stalls out the game long enough to allow his defenders to get back. So it probably actually ends up saving a goal. #worth.
These players are, really evenly matched. Remember what we said about 4-4? Are we going to get the 4-4?
We actually might get it. Just need one goal apiece. Easy, man. Easy. Scoring a goal against a top 8 FIFA player, no problem. Anybody can do
it. Exactly. These two players do seem like they evenly match, even if their play styles are different. Yeah, it's definitely has been interesting to see how both of them have approached this game.
Speaking of approach, Atal tried to turn with a shot, immediately gets blocked off. Vieira having none of it. And this might open up the opportunity for Young Savage. And Atal gets past. He's got his composure back. Gets in the box. The pass down to Mbappe. Can Mbappe find the cross? Kyle Walker.
Oh my goodness.
Was it Cancelo? Actually, it was Cancelo. Yeah, Cancelo with the block. Stops the goal. That was like a guaranteed goal. Whether it might have come from the cross with the direct shot. But somehow, some way, it's still even.
Oh, those tiny little defensive mistakes are the things that you have to make sure you read off your game at this particular level. That could easily have been a goal for Savage. And yeah, I just hope he's not left, regretting, not putting the ball at the back of the net right there.
Oof, now needs to find a goal. Few and far between are the chances that are that open. This time now he's going to have to be playing on defense. Odishik on the ball, on the flank here. The box though immediately covered by Varane. It just seems so difficult to try to break down the defense of Young Savage, even if he is still struggling to actually convert on the other side of the pitch.
Yeah, it does seem like, they've studied each other for a while, as we've seen from a lot of the FIFA players so far, studying each other in the first half and, knowing how to break down each other's defense and at the same time, stop the opponent. So yeah, they do seem a little bit more confident, but for a second that looked like it was already let loose.
This might be dangerous. Mbappe forced off the ball. And it wasn't offside on the other side, unfortunately. It seemed like this ball just goes... Oh, come on. That was another huge offside. This might get a bit dangerous. This trap could also set up potentially for another deep run. That last time, if he was a bit more clean in terms of his passing, Mayhem might have found a way through. So, definitely would like to see Young Savage, as much as I wanted to play as fast as it's humanly possible, I think he's found some decent success with this more deliberate style in leg 2, and now he's inside the box. Neymar, can he get the ball to the target? Yes, he can. Ronaldo's on it.
Oh my goodness.
Ronaldo with the goal. It's 2-1 at Fire.
We are now so close to the 4-4. They're so close to it. I do believe Mayhem can get back into this game. He showed so far that he is not just an underdog. He's no pushover. And yeah, he may be able to get back in, but the composure from Savage has shown his superiority so far. If he can just sort out little mistakes, he could very well become one of those great players, in FIFA.
So now close things out. Young Savage, now Atal with the ball, but blocked.
So close. So close.
And as the game's about to die out, looks like the opportunity is not really going to be available for DarthMayhem. If this goes in, referee? Oh no, okay. I thought the referee was pointing to the spot. Did he point to the spot? Did the referee point for
I
the
do
spot?
think he did. I do think he did. Oh my
God.
goodness.
Young Savage. Is he gonna get the goal? Yes, he will.
He does. Oof. Definitely, Young Savage has now shown that he is superior. You know, button skill, possession, holding the ball. You know, and now he may just be going for the kill.
So you can't get the final goal in, but you wanted 4-4. Unfortunately, we'll still get 8 goals in total, but the distribution not exactly as planned. 3-1 here in leg 2, 5-3 overall for Young Savage. And there's been a very dominant performance in the second half in particular. Now, final play, Young Savage gets the ball to Ronaldo. Ronaldo looking for this goal. Ronaldo! Oh! Dispossessed.
That was absolutely amazing skill right there from Young Savage. It just feels like right now he's just having fun. He knows, you know, he's won the game, so it's all about just finding those extra goals if he can.
Yeah, and the extra goals, it prevents any goals coming in from DarthMayhem and secures himself the victory. GG. What a guy. Young Savage, he comes through. Leg 1 a little bit shaky, but here in leg 2, looking dominant. And he walks away not just with the win here in the leg, but the win overall in the series, and grabs his first win overall on the leaderboard. So how happy is he going to be finally getting a W under his name?
He's a savage. Classy, bougie, ratchet. Popping, goals, scoring. He's a savage. Ladies and gentlemen, that was some amazing football. I had to break out in song and dance. The first game was super exciting, 2-2. You felt like you had no idea where it was going to go. And then the second game, Young Savage turning on the style. I remember just before we started the stream today, you guys actually said Young Savage was going to come out and play, and come out and play he did, dropping a 3-1 win in the second game for a 5-3 overall aggregate score and putting some points on the board. Let's see if the new leaderboard standings is ready, or let's take a look at our winner for this game of today, Young Savage versus DarthMayhem. And just a very quick reminder of the prize pool before we show you what the winners are playing for. And there it is, you have it. Young Savage, 5-3 winner over DarthMayhem, which definitely moves him up a few points on the leaderboard, trying to break into that top 4 spot for qualification into the next round.
Yeah, but unfortunately, this also means that DarthMayhem is now at the bottom, 2 losses, very, very deep at the bottom. He's going to be struggling now for the rest of the tournament. I don't think he can afford any other losses. But Young Savage will be happy on the board above Masoom and hanging with the rest of the boys from Goliath Gaming.
This is just fantastic. I mean, he was a player who showed so much promise, and everybody said Young Savage from the beginning, and now he's showing exactly what he can do. Act Fire, tell us what was your highlights of these 2 games you watched today, man?
Definitely was how much Savage has grown when it comes to his nerves. You know, in the first game against Unfazed, you could see that when he was, you know, losing, it did look like he had no plan, you know, for how he could get back into the game. But now you can see, you know, he kept his composure both in defense and in attack, and he knew when to just keep going. So yeah, it was fun to see how much he has, you know, grown from, you know, the first game he played.
And Stan, for you quickly before we go, what was your highlight for the day?
My definite highlight would be that moment when Young Savage, he's out here, he manages to keep the ball from going out, literally with the final touch from Mbappe, gets it between 3 defenders into the middle of the box, somehow scores a goal out of nowhere. That was just incredible. That was like ice that he just put into his veins in the middle of the break there. Incredible to see.
Fantastic gameplay. And with that, we've come to the end of the FIFA broadcast for today. We'll be back with more FIFA tomorrow, or we'll be back after this following break with some action from the PUBG Mobile tournament in the Umzansi Esports League. I want to say big thank you to Snare and Actfire for doing an amazing job on the FIFA game. We will see the rest of you right after this break with more esports action from the Umzansi Esports League Season 3. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Umzansi Esports League, brought to you by Nodwin Gaming. My name is Dr. Sid, here with the very amazing Esmery and Patchy. How are you doing, Esmery? How was your week?
It's been good. It's been good. I've been looking forward to this. It's been a while since we've seen some PUBG Mobile, so good start to the week.
It's been a while since I saw the RGBs. Welcome back.
Thank you. They've missed.
Hey, Patchy, how was your week, bro?
Yeah, I mean, we're still alive, which is what matters, you know. So we're here to watch some PUBG, ready to get all the spicy stuff going. And of course, this weekend's going to be super extra spicy because it's a little bit of a rematch in a sense.
This is the rematch. We have to have like a soundtrack for that. Love the slick back hair, by the way. Really enjoying that. So much remind me of mine. Mine is almost slick back as well, with the little dread in it as well. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Umzansi Esports League. We're having so much fun out here, and this is going to be excitement because it is a rematch. And let's take a look at the prize pool for this season 3. Patchy, you know how we do. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're sitting with a total prize pool of $17,500 here. And of course, 15,000 of that is going to be for the PUBG Mobile prize pool, which is super incentivizing. I think, you know, it's definitely going to be encouraging for the teams that want to get to the top. I mean, this is what we're fighting for, along with those bragging rights, along with, you know, this sort of status that comes with taking a dub overall. So, I mean, there is definitely something on the line, you know, and we always talk about, you know, last week we were talking about strategies and tactics and things that we want to see sort of moving forward in the season. But I mean, what is the reason that you want to do that? It's that prize pool. That's why you want to pick up the most effective tactics. That's why you want to just absolutely smash it out of the ballpark. And speaking of, here is that leaderboard coming out there. Gamers United Nations sitting on number 1 with 141 points.
And there is G3 Temper coming in at number 2 with 124 points. Slime 4KT from Nigeria, 115 points. Zero Tolerance with no winner chicken dinners, but all the way at the top with 104 points, sitting at number 4. Immortalz from South Africa sitting at number 5 with 102 points. Sincerity Esports at 93 points at number 6. At number 7, Undisputed AE from South Africa with 89 points, and Influence Rage Africa from South Africa with 87 points, sitting at number 8.
Yeah, and of course that leaderboard moving on from 9th place, Rain from Hell, 87 points, and following along is Euphoric Gods with 74 points in 10th place. Aphelion Apex in 11th with 72. Nitro Killers right behind them with 71 points in 12th. NFxUNIQUE got 69 points. Nice. 13th position there. Lag Esports in the 14th with 66. Not Gaming in 15 with 64. And of course, the Young Thundercats there in 16 with 62 points. So, of course, those scores still looking pretty decent. But as we move on to the next page, things start to, fall behind. Of course, still top 24, though, which is, still inside that zone where you want to be. But, of course, it's going to be a little bit precarious for these guys. I want to make sure they get the points on the board. Outsiders official going to head up this list, number 17 with 60 points. The Comfy Cartel in 18th with 58. BBC following very closely behind with 57 as well. Spaza 6 in 19th and 20th place, respectively. In 21, we've got Ultra 6 with 54, as well as the Drogons in 22 with 54. We've got the Sidizens and Pain as well in 23 and 24 with 51 points each. It is this next page that is the feels bad man page. If you are caught on this page by the end of all of this, when the tournament round ends, it is going to be real sad for you, because these are, of course, those relegation slots. And right now, those slots are being occupied by Rainbow Six Madagascar in 25. We've got Black Clover in 26, Fear in 27, Nibble with 28, Toxic Esport in 29, and Blank Legion in 30th place. So these guys are the ones that have a little bit of a fire that needs to be lit underneath them.
Esmery, tell us very quickly about this point structure that these players need to get out of that spot into a favorable position.
Yeah, for, as we said, for the team sitting on that last page, and even for the team sitting very close to that, bottom 24, you really want to be focusing on both your kills and your placements. We've said this time and time again. We've had so many, dominating teams that are not just good with their kills. Gun is one of the teams that, sprung to mind. They, time and time again, found themselves in those 1v3 team positions, managed to take out all three teams, and then also take, the winner chicken dinner. So, if you have competition like that, you can't just settle for kill points. You can't just settle for placement points. We do have a few teams that are sitting, as you saw, without winner chicken dinners, but they are sitting in your top 4, in your top 5, purely because of placement points, because they're getting to you in your top 5, and they're getting fantastic kill points. So that deadly combo really needs to come through for these teams. They have to focus on both. They have to really push for both.
And I was just mentioning earlier on that if you look at zero tolerance skills, they are in the top 4 slots without a winner chicken dinner, purely based on positions and skill points. But now we're taking a look at the squads that are going to be playing today. It is Group A versus Group B. Patchy, talk us through these teams in Group A.
Yeah, so of course, Group A, Group B, we're starting with Group A. Ultra 6 are going to be the first one in this list. Apex also heading this one up. Of course, we've got the Blank Legion, we've got Fear, we've got Black Clover, we've got Undisputed AE, we've got Spaza 6. Undisputed AE was a team that showed up really early on when we first saw this group make its debut sort of in the beginning of the season, and they performed really well, and then they started to drop off at the end when some of the other teams stepped it up in a huge way. So I'm interested to see if they're going to try and reclaim some of that distance on the leaderboard with a performance like what we saw them coming in with the season. And then of course moving into Group B, which is going to be the other group here, we've got Influence, Rage, Africa, we've got Zero Tolerance Skills, we've got BBC, we've got the Immortalz, we've got G3 Temp, we've got Not Gaming, and we've got Rainbow Six, Madagascar. And of course, this is another group with some pretty heavy hitters there. Of course, that being G3 Temp, who've had a bit of an up and down, but recently a few more ups than downs, certainly. So also they're quite a big, a big heavy hitter in the groups at the moment.
Well, there you have it. We've seen our teams, we've seen our tables, we've seen our points distribution. We know exactly what is at stake today. Some of these teams will remember each other from the first round when they started playing together. Hopefully, some of that information will be used in today's game as we go into our first map, which is on Erangel. Personally, for me, this match is sort of like a balance between the other two maps, Sanhok and Miramar. And I think there are a lot of great opportunities for teams, especially looking at the teams in these two groups. We do have a lot of bottom teams and a lot of mid teams that do have an opportunity to go against the likes of Game of Gun and move up that leaderboard if they can take the points and take the placements. Esmery, what would you suggest should be the strategy for some of these at the top specifically and some of the teams at the bottom?
So for the teams at the top, I want to just say keep doing what you're doing. I mean, they've been so good on their early rotations. They're, some of the teams to be first in the zone, to be the first to set up, to be the first to have that position that everyone wants to have. And then they can just sit and wait for teams to rotate in. They can take a couple of pot shots, get a couple of kills, for pretty much for free, and then just continue winning the placement game. I mean, it solidifies your spot in placements, and it gets you extra points for every single kill. So that's been the big thing that we've seen with a lot of these top teams is it's their rotations, really. It's their pathing, it's how they're choosing and when they're choosing to take fights. They've been really good and really strategic in that sense. And then for a lot of the teams, towards the bottom, it's a lot of the teams that are a lot more scared to take those fights, obviously, because they're scared of the repercussions of it. Getting third party, fourth party, it's never a good feeling. But it's the risk you have to take. And at this point, I want to see a lot of the teams, toward that lower ladder, really go for kills, really go for those fights, really help yourself, get out of that 13 to 16 position where you get no points whatsoever, because that's the case. They keep falling victim to rotations, to zone, to just a team waiting for them because they know it's coming in. They want to get the kills, and instead they're constantly the victims. So be the first, make the plays, and make everyone else play your game.
So, I mean, Patchy, myself, Rihanna, I know we were talking about the last few games and trying to get a few teams to be a bit more aggressive. No, I mean, I know, if you get the job done early, you make your end game situation a lot better. What's your take on this particular strategy?
Yeah, so I mean, we've seen different things come out for different teams. Some of them have really found a groove in past seasons, how they like to play. But I think now, especially with the small adjustments that have been made in the point structure since last season, I think definitely what Esproxy was saying just now is very, very imperative. You know, you need to be trying to balance both as much as possible. And you can see that the teams that get a good placement point and good kills usually head up the top of the list. And actually, we have quite a few teams in the grouping today that are in the top 10 of the overall standings at the moment. You know, and we did see a pretty decent game coming out of them in the beginning of the season. So absolutely, do what you can in the early game. I think that is something that needs to be a focus in terms of these guys, because we've seen what they can do in the late game. We've seen their capabilities. We've seen their skills. They can do it. So the question is just, can they do it in the beginning of the game? Can they make something happen? Because that's the next step. That's the, you know, the true test of the team's mettle here. So can they make something happen in the beginning of the game as well? Can they utilize that time to the best of their ability?
Well, it's time to see their ability and see if they can make something happen, as something is already happening. The teams are already flying into Erangel. My name is Dr. Sid, and I leave you in the very capable hands of Esproxy and Pachi. See you after the match.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sid. And once again, of course, we're going to be heading into Erangel. Teams are going to be dropping off down onto the map. We've got a nice flight path going down from the south just towards the east of that island, all the way to the top, just above a shooting range. So yeah, some nice access, at least not going to be all too far to the west, so no Quarry or Gatka potentially, but otherwise pretty decent access. I think most of the teams will be able to get up into, for instance, Gatka if they wanted to, but that zone, we're just going to be starting it off with a spicy one as proxy. It's going to be all the way down to that south west.
Yeah, I mean, you know, heading towards, you know, Quarry, Gatka, Hospital, all of those areas, which are, as we know, quite far in terms of rotations. A lot of the teams now having to cross those bridges. Unfortunately for some of the teams, you know, they'd probably want to get there sooner rather than later and not risk getting camped on the bridge. As the looting phase begins, you know, we're starting here with 15 teams. So looking at it now, you know, any team that's looking to, well, obviously no one's looking for it, but any team that unfortunately will fall victim to, you know, getting pushed back to the lobby in that 16th to 13th position, they're the team that's going to be running away without any placement points. And we've seen so many teams fall victim to that quite more often than unfortunately we'd like to admit. So I remember when we started our first Erangel with this group specifically, Erangel was extremely passive. It was slow, it was quiet, you know, and then we got to Sanhok and we were like, okay, now this is where everyone starts picking up. And then again, it was quite slow. And then Miramar came and then, you know, all hell broke loose because I think a lot of teams, you know, started to scramble. You know, they get frustrated, especially if they're some of the first teams to drop out early, you know, after such a long passive wait. And then as those zones, you know, just force the issue, it happens. But I really want to see if we can see those teams actually take the initiative this time and actually be the aggressor, you know, start the fight confidently. You know, don't just go wherever you want to and start shooting at anyone without any cause or reason, but actually engaging a team on your best, you know, benefit. Because I think that's also a big thing is, you know, a lot of teams taking fights in open areas, in places where they can't rotate to a safe place, where they can't, you know, heal up necessarily safely. And as the cars start running through and we get a reminder of the teams that we're looking at, I think it's very vital that a lot of these teams really start engaging. And I don't know, Patrick, from your side, like, what do you think is like the best way to start doing that? Obviously, an early rotation would be my first guess, you know, sitting in a position where either, you know, you could be the one at the end of the bridge camping everyone else from getting in, but you can also set up in a building, you know, take control and hold that.
Yeah. So at this point, I think what I want to see is the teams that are sitting at the top do something a little bit maybe even overconfident, I want to say. And the reason I say that is because we have 5 out of these 15 teams. 5 teams are in the top of the leaderboard, right? Top 10 of the leaderboard. Those teams are, of course, going to be teams like G3 Temper, Immortalz, Zero Tolerance Skills, Influence Rage Africa, and Undisputed AE. Those teams are sitting, you know, towards the top of the leaderboard right now. And the other teams, a lot of these other teams are actually sitting down towards either the last page or the second last page. And what that shows me is that there is at least a skill gap of some degree, right? I'm not saying it's huge or anything like that, but I'm saying it's at least there is, there are teams in these groups that stand out right now. And I think if those teams took the initiative and said, all right, we are currently leading in this group, maybe we should try something a little bit extra confident here. Let's see if we can get away with something. Yeah, because I honestly think that they could. I really think that they could get away with some things here against some of these other teams, because it's like it is, like you said, some of the gameplay is a little bit slower. And I think a lot of those teams that are sitting lower towards the bottom of the leaderboard want to play a safer game because they want to try and secure those points rather than go for risk against a team that's already higher than them on the leaderboard, you know? So I think if they're going to be playing in that mindset, then the teams that are leading the groups right now need to be getting extra aggressive. Let's go and do something. Let's go and attack these guys. Let's catch them off guard. Let's cut off their rotate. Let's be a thorn in their side. Let's play G3 Tempest style on Miramar and sit on top of a mountain and wait for people to pass by and just put some bullets in them, not just to kill them, but just to annoy them, just to keep them on their toes so that they find it difficult. Because that kind of pressure, it changes the game, and it really does help you in your favor at the end of the day.
Yeah, and we keep talking about it, it's to your benefit. And I mean, at the end of the day, confidence is the biggest benefit you can really run away with. If you've got the confidence, I mean, you're already playing at a better level than most of the people, because you're going to take those fights, you're going to feel good, you're going to be, just hitting the shots that you normally wouldn't because your mindset is there. And I think that's a big crucial thing for a lot of these teams, especially in Battle Royales, where a lot of, what you're doing and a lot of how the game is going to turn out is out of your control. It doesn't matter how good you are. At the end of the day, RNG is the big killer here. And so if you've got that confidence and you can keep that mentality in the team going, the vibes are good, everyone's feeling great about where they're heading, they've constantly got a plan, they're proactive, they're engaging with each other, then I mean you've set yourself up for the rest of the night. So I agree with you. I think a lot of the top teams, they should be a little risky, go do something that we might not expect and potentially just make it worse for everyone else who's now trying to play the catch-up game. I mean, especially for the teams that are sitting with such a big gap in the point system, they've got a little bit of room to play with here. We still have so many weeks that they can really work on, especially your top 10. I mean, they've got still 2 pages worth of placements if they really have to fall back on it. If it doesn't really go their way, then that's okay.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think, shaking it up now is potentially going to get rid of a lot of, your teams that are potentially maybe a little bit more inexperienced, that haven't faced that sort of trials yet. It's really going to put them to the test as well. And I mean, for some of our teams that have just come through in Corsi, right, they've already taken a big fight. I mean, I think about Black Legion, I think of Black Clover. There's some of the teams that we've seen also, and Ultra 6 actually. There's some of the teams that, they fought their way through from in Corsi. They're here, and they've actually been making statements. I've seen many a car chase or two from Black Legion and Black Clover, and they've made statements. They haven't always worked out, but I mean, at least they know their boundaries, right? Taking those risks, that shows you, okay, this is what I can get away with, and this is the point where I can't do that. You set such beautiful boundaries for your team that you can really play it safe while playing your best game.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll see some of that coming out of the teams. I definitely agree with you on the fact that, with a game like this, you really do have to control as many elements as possible. I think I was saying that in Season 1 or Season 2, I was going on about it because, in order to really master a game like this, you can't control where the zone goes, you can't control where the flight path goes. So you have to be adaptive and reactive, and you have to take control of as many elements of the game as possible, right? You can control where you're going to be. And if you have played this game enough, like all of these teams have, they're so familiar with the map and the rotations and the buildings and where to be and how the map flows, depending on which region the zone is in. I mean, you just need to have a little bit of foresight and be like, oh, we know that there's going to be a team here, or they're definitely going to come through in this particular direction. Like I said earlier, G3 is really good at that. They sit on top of a mountain. They're like, all right, cool. We know people are definitely going to be coming past here for the rotate based on, the way we saw the flight path and also where the zone is. So we'll just sit here and wait for people to come past. Since we have the high ground, we're always going to have at least a little bit of an advantage there just to put a bit of extra damage in. I mean, that's how you need to play it. You need to control as many elements as possible. Of course, there on the map, you could see, the teams are moving their way on in as that zone does start to close up. We've already moved into zone 2, which is great. So we are moving out of that early game stage, and I am expecting the fights to start picking up sooner or later. I can already say we do have some teams in close proximity. So I'm really hoping that we do start to see the fights breaking up, because once again, it is a little bit of a slow group.
Yeah, I like this from Not Gaming, right? So I assume they've spotted out Influence Rage Africa there on the other side of the bridge. They've got the zone. You know, they're a few steps away from it. And, oh, never mind. I'll talk about that later. Right now, what I'm talking about is Potato going down. And unfortunately, oh, Undisputed AE, they're going to be losing a member. They're still in this area, though. Matrix trying to throw nades in. Unfortunately, going to be missing the window. And Miyagi, he's rotating around. He wants to take this fight. He's going to see Matrix, but I don't think Matrix is aware. Ooh, that third-party vision is coming in clutch now for Miyagi. So he's got such good information. He's just waiting. He's just like, come peek me. But the Molotov is going to force Miyagi into a corner now as Matrix continues the onslaught. It's going to take him out, get a little bit of revenge for his teammate. Tries to swing around to get down Mullins. Does good damage, but ultimately, the clapback is there, and so far, we've got 6 at least, you know, with a little bit of an advantage as the rotations come through. Obviously, Undisputed AE, they're trying to hold on to this right now. They do not want to be one of the teams to, you know, be the second to drop out of this map. We've only had 1 drop so far, and oh, at the moment, it looks like Undisputed AE might be in a little bit of trouble of being the second.
Yeah, they're in a lot of trouble right there. That is super unfortunate. They get caught out with one of their teammates all the way back in the previous house across the way, and of course that means that he's not there to defend the team, trying to get some of the long-range engagements in, but of course now that both of the other teammates are down, is cut off from them. So Ultra 6 have some chance now to get those quick firsts in, and don't really have to worry too much about Inspector, who's both low HP and all the way on the other side. So yeah, I mean, Undisputed AE, definitely not in the greatest spot. Hopefully they'll be able to stay alive, though. We'll see if Inspector can get himself to a safe spot. But of course, that's Ultra 6 just picking up their well-earned kills here in this fight.
You know, I've been really impressed with them. They're one of the teams that I've consistently seen not back down from fights. So I'm happy to see that. I think they've potentially heard a little bit of advice, or potentially just gone back and reworked the game plan. Now, this is what I was talking about, right? Not Gaming, they had the positional advantage on Influence Rage Africa, but looking at it now, somehow, some way, it didn't really work out for them. Potentially, they just crossed the river, and now they've got the flank of them, and Sully, one of them, his teammates are still on the other side of the bridge, that still have to rotate through, but they're putting a lot of pressure now on Not Gaming, who had the advantage here. They had that position on Influence Rage Africa. They had the building. They could have just sat and wait, but I think Influence Rage Africa, they've played this beautifully. The flankers come through. They're putting in some pressure. The zone doing a little bit of damage there. Some of the members have to be careful, you know, get those meds popping off. And now, look at Not Gaming. They're sandwiched. They're going to be good. They're actually going to do well to take down Hansley, but they still have to find the 3 members sitting in the rocks, just waiting for them to come out of that building, as they have to because of the zone. And then they're going to pop a couple of shots, take them out, and all of a sudden, this is completely turned on Not Gaming.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a difficult spot. As you mentioned, a pretty decent job of taking down some of those players from Influence Rage. But yeah, they are finding themselves in a bit of a tough one. 3 zones deep does mean that that zone is going to be annoying, but not enough to just outright kill them immediately. So they still have a little bit of room to play with, but it's getting smaller and smaller every moment. And of course, Sleepy and the rest of Influence Rage are just sitting here waiting for their moment to strike. They know that Not Gaming has to rotate, has to come out of that blue zone at some point. And Sleepy's crosshairs are absolutely trained, waiting for the moment, pulling that trigger to find the shots, and will find some shots in towards the rest of them. Of course, Hensley goes down, but not before Sully starts to put in some shots. Snowder, the first one to go down. The rest of Influence Rage now just turning their crosshairs in that direction to put some hits in, before, of course, they themselves need to start moving as that blue zone is catching up with them. In the meantime, Fear's going to be putting some shots in, so we are seeing a few fights start to break out with the zone in towards the west. Those rotations are indeed coming in, and you can see those teams absolutely streaming in from the east and clustering down in towards the south of the zone. It's going to make things pretty difficult there once that particular spot gets very crowded, which it's about to be. We have Fear here right across from the Blanca Legion, of course, as they start to move on in. Rambo separated from Hybrid, so they don't really have much of a chance to assist one another. They just have to play the one-on-one here with Chris and the rest of the team as they start to make their way up those stairs.
Oh, Black Legion, they've only got 2 members to work with here, so the fact that they, disjointed right now, that they can't back each other up, that's a horrible situation. I mean, Hybrid, he can't really risk rotating into the same building as Rambo because Hulk is going to be there to hold that rotation. Not sure if he is aware of it, but I mean, as we said, Rambo's going to be going down. I mean, there's no real choice that he has there. There's 3 members, spraying him down, making sure that he's out of the count. So now Black Legion down to 1 member, and ooh, based on the way that Fear's moving here, I think they know exactly where Hybrid's at. See Hulk. Oh, Hybrid's just trying to stay alive, just running away. Not going to be the case. And Blank Legion are going to unfortunately be going out in 14th place. Means that they're not going to be getting any placement points, but we still got 2 maps. It's okay. Shake it off. Let's talk about it now. So, I mean, it's so bizarre. We've seen a lot of, situations that are completely turned on the teams that are actually engaging in those fights. I mean, I've been saying, engage in the fights. You start the fight and you finish the fight. I think that's the, maybe I should have said that the first time. If you start a fight, please finish it as well. Looking at it now, though, we've had so many teams who've started the fight. I mean, a simple example, right, is that altercation that we saw with Six. Miyagi, he was in the position, where he was getting pushed. Matrix knew where he was, had all the information, and then the plays just came through. The plays just beautifully came through. But Six here running a little bit low, having to take that rotation out. They definitely do not want to be caught in the zone right now. Potentially consumables might be down after their first little bit of altercations. And we are down to 13 teams as all the rotations come through now. It's actually quite interesting to see. You can see which teams are prioritizing that positioning. Not Gaming, they weren't far off from that position, so they're pretty much ready. Same can be said for Infinite Rage Africa. They had just, finished the fight, so they also had to rotate pretty early on. And the rest of the teams only starting their long rotate now. So once again, a situation like this happens. And Mullins, he spots a friendly you're like, oh, thank you very much. I'm going to be taking that. 3 kills for Ultra 6 now, and as the rotations continue, these altercations are going to start off. You can hear all the shots happening in the background, and that's purely rotations, that's purely pathing. Sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's BBC luck, taking out all the players he can really see, but it's that what we're talking about. It's that pathing that is so crucial, and a lot of the times you really can't control it.
Yeah, and the fight for this hill, look at that. Some explosions happening here to do a little bit of damage there. Ultra 6 going to have to rotate on out, get themselves out of there, because BBC is not happy about you challenging their thrones, of course. They will be on their way out as well, deciding to get those rotations in. Miyagi is left for dead. Of course, those shots not coming through from Zero Tolerance versus G3 Temper. That battle is going on here. The car chase coming out of BBC. Moving forward, they are just getting into that zone as quickly as possible. Lord going to be falling on his side. That's actually going to put him in engagement with Inspector. So that's a bit unfortunate. He's going to have to force into this one. G3 in a bit of a spot. Mini 14's going absolutely ham to put some serious damage down. Ultra 6 trying to engage. Black Clover now getting into the fight as well. And as you can see, this is just absolutely jam-packed with teams trying to get their way into the zone across that line, using the minimal cover of the trees, a couple of blocks here and there, some cars to try and keep themselves alive. Undisputed A East Inspector finally going to get found and taken down. So that's a bit unfortunate. But there they go. Of course, Black Clover now moving in, trying to get themselves into a defendable spot here in this building. Of course, as the rest of the teams now have crossed that line and tried to just put those shots in towards one another and challenge one another for the defensible positions. Of course, that blue zone moving in from 4 to 5 very soon. And things are going to get even more intense. We have 11 teams, 35 players left, and those long-range shots are being looked for by some of these players here.
Ooh, absolutely. I mean, the amount of, mini 14s that we saw there, just pumping the shots. Okay, he's also actually found Hulk from Fear here. And Temper, they're just on the other side, ready to, join the fight, join potentially the kill game here. We're down to 11 teams, in that flurry of chaos that we saw as the rotations came through. The teams started running into each other, and Jeff, he's from Zero Tolerance skills, just sitting at that hut, just hoping Vibe is not going to hit the shots, but he's going to have to move sooner or later. And like Clover might just sit and wait for it because he's the last remaining member of Zero Tolerance Skills. I mean, I didn't expect that, actually. We've been talking about them so much, you know. But placement game might be all that there is for Jeff. As we talk about at BBC, they're just containing Ultra 6 right now, trying to make it as difficult as possible for them to rotate in. And once again, we've mentioned this, you know, a lot of the teams, that this is what they do. This is how they get majority of the kills, is through just waiting and holding the better angle here. And I mean, towards the back of them, they have to deal with a lot. So I definitely think a couple of kill points would be very, very welcomed. Romeo, though, is going to be finding Zero, making it quite difficult here for Aphelion Apex, unfortunately for them. Rusty's going to try and hopefully go for the res here, but he has to be careful because any sort of, you know, exposure might land him in the same sort of spot. Oh, Temper as well. They haven't stopped at all. They're just continuing to find kill after kill after kill. I'm going to have to see later on how those kill points are going, but for the moment, Aphelion Apex, they're still holding on to this. They're still fighting back, trying to find a way. They're so split up, though. I mean, looking at it now, each member has to basically fight either a team or a solo player with these rotations.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Aphelion Apex have found themselves right in the center of the zone, which has put them in the center of attention as well once the rotations have come through. And of course, they have indeed. All of these teams are jam-packed all over the place, especially around the perimeter of the zone. Of course, BBC still putting the pressure on towards Ultra 6. G3 still putting those shots over across to all the surrounding teams and players, going down left, right, and center. Rainbow 6 also taking some serious damage. BBC still looking for those shots, trying to put them across the way. Everyone is just absolutely fighting for their lives, and some of them are being lost at this point. 9 teams, 26 players remaining as the fighting on the border of this zone goes absolutely nuts. Aphelion Apex trying to struggle to hold on there, finding some good knocks and kills all over the place. Fear, you're losing quite a couple of their players as well. Cold being the one to put some of that pain in. Of course, everyone just trying to find themselves in that zone. The spots being spotted out. Law gets taken down. Mullins next to follow as well as the Immortalz put those shots in the Mini 14s, absolutely destroying in the surrounding area. And of course, that zone about to close on up, move from 5 to 6, and that means you do not want to be touching that zone right now. These players are going to be scrambling forward to try and keep themselves alive. The zone down in towards the southwest, going to force a whole bunch of rotations from those teams. We're going to see so many players go out now. And this is gonna come down to these final decisions being made by the teams here. Fear, of course, being taken down to their final player in the form of Hulk, who needs to move his way forward just a little bit. Of course, the rest of the team now moving on in to try and put support through, but it's going to be an absolute tough one all across the board because there is just no space for all these teams to fit.
Not at all. And I mean, anyone who's basically claimed, you know, the top of this hill, basically claimed that position towards the zone, I mean, they're going to be sitting pretty. They can just wait. They can just hold on to whatever they need to and wait for the teams. I mean, it's actually on the other side of the river now. So BBC and Aphelion Apex, they've got prime property right now, and everyone is going to try and take that away from them. One of the teams being Temper right now, who are actually trying to find an edgewise here on Cold. I mean, he's got the building, he's waiting for it, but his team is so far off to actually assist. I mean, it's going to come down to those long range shots, and you know that they aren't always, you know, an option, especially if the team is going to be rushing that building. Then your angles are cut off, you are cut off from your team, and that's unfortunately an angle that you're giving to Temper. And it looks like they're going for it. They're looking for it. Cold, he's going to be fighting tooth and nail to try and keep them away, but it's a little bit too much. Oh. Looking at it now, Gunner going to be finding one. Ooh, quite a lot of shots actually still coming through, but somehow, someway, these teams are just slightly squeezing into the zone. We still got a few just outside trying to fight their way in. You see Aphelion Apex, they're still fighting to Not Gaming, who are trying to make that rotation in, and that is it. That is it for them. Not Gaming out of the count. We are down to the top 5 now. Looking at it. Black Clover, Aphelion Apex, we've got... We've somehow still got BBC, who have managed to stay alive. All 4 of them still happy and sitting quite pretty. Got some pretty peaceful area, really. They haven't been put under pressure as compared to majority of the other teams. They're all clustered together and they're all having to fight for that position. Whereas BBC, they're just waiting. they're relaxed.
Yeah, that's what they do. That's what they do. BBC are just absolute champions of the tactically delayed rotations. Is what they are the masters of at this point. But I actually really want to applaud the G3 right here. They just absolutely know how to take what they want, and they do it time and time again. We see so many teams fall short when it comes to re-entry. These guys have no problem. They pick the spot, they move in, and they just remove you if you're in their way, and they get on in to that zone. Of course, speaking of the zone, it's about to close on up again as those teams are firing the shots across towards one another. 4 teams remaining, BBC being one of them. Of course, Aphelion, Apex being another G3 Temper, and then the last team, of course, being a Spaza, who have control of the top of this mountain here, and maybe in a chance to put some damage into the surrounding teams before they make their way in. BBC actually have a bit of a monopoly on the zone, and they know it. They're moving out to try and put a little bit of pressure on, take the zone control. This might be the chance that BBC have to take a chicken dinner straight away here or on this first game of the evening. So this could be a big chance for them. The rest of the teams have to make those rotations. Moving on up, Spaza here now with control of this hill, have only a little bit of time to put the shots in before they have to rotate. G3 in the same position, have to move out of this house and get on across that line. But are they going to be able to push past BBC? That's the question. They've proven that they can push past other teams. Are they going to be able to translate the skills? The shots coming through. Gunner goes down, and now on the rotate is Bearden and Shroom to try and put themselves in a decent position. Of course, Spaza now has to move on forward as that blue zone is right at their heels, nipping away at their HP. G3 in a bit of a difficult position with Spaza coming out right behind them. They have to put up a fight, but they also have to worry about BBC right in front of them. The smokes are popped, but the shots have to come through. Can G3 land them is the question. Law absolutely looking for it through the smoke, trying to find the shots. This is making it super, super difficult. G3, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get out of this one. I think this might be done for them. That's super, super tough to get out of. If they make it through out of this one, they are just absolutely insane, putting the shots across. Now Romeo goes down as Shroom puts the hits in. Deity, the next one to fall as BBC turns their attention all across the board, waiting for those people to move across. But there goes Bearden. He gets taken down, trying to make that rotate on up. And as soon as they try, they fail. It's going to be BBC holding down the fort and making sure to take that first chicken dinner of the games today.
I mean, it came down to positioning, right? I mean, we were talking about it. BBC, they were so relaxed. They really had no reason to take any unnecessary fights. They just left it up to the rest of the team, you know, fighting each other, maybe picked off one or two here and there with a couple of long-range shots, taking free kills, being thank you very much, would appreciate it. And they were just sitting and farming out the last little bit of the zone. So, I mean, really well played there to BBC. A clean finish, not a single player dropped there towards the end. They finished with all 4 of their players still alive. And I mean, I think they're going to be happy with that finish.
Yeah, and I mean, 12 kills in the pocket for BBC and 11 for G3 Temper there. That is absolutely phenomenal performance right off the bat. We did get some really great stuff towards the end there, but it was a little bit of exactly what we saw when we saw these groups debut. Slow in the beginning and absolutely nuts towards the end.
Yes, I'm beginning to think that's what we're going to be expecting on most of this match, but sometimes you really can't fault that particular strategy because the action at the end sort of makes up for everything. You know, G3 putting up a great gameplay towards end, getting stuck there in the smoke. I was personally worried that they were going to end up in 3rd place, but they managed to squeeze into 2nd place. Let's take a look at the standings for the first game today. Esme?
Ooh, I mean, are we really surprised? BBC sitting there on top with the best kills in the lobby and the best placement points. So going to be happy with those 27 points. Temper and Aphelion Apex, I mean, pretty close there on. I mean, Temper, they're sitting with 11 kills. And the rest, those are the only double digits that we're looking at, right? So definitely the leaders in terms of the kill game. But I think the rest of the teams are going to be happy with that. Black Clover as well coming through there. Spaza 6, you know, not gaming somehow, some way, making it to this point. They were constantly under pressure. They had the right ideas, but the execution just didn't go their way. And then somehow, some way, they have made it to this point. Ultra 6 as well. I've been happy with them so far. You know, finishing off with those 3 kills, of course, taking that early fight and making it work. So top 8 looking quite healthy. Influence Rage Africa, I'm not sure what happened there. They really had such a beautiful rotation around not gaming, and I was blown away by, you know, the big brain moves, but they ended up not doing as well as I thought they would have. But still in that, you know, safety of the placement points game. Unfortunately for Undisputed AE and Rainbow Six Madagascar, they're going to have to run away with absolutely nothing in terms of placement points, really. you know, one or two here. That's at least not too bad, but definitely not what they wanted.
Yeah, and I mean, it's weird to see teams like Zero Tolerance, Influence Rage, and Immortalz at the bottom of the leaderboard. So they're definitely going to want to pick it up in the next games following. But of course, none other than BBC Lord is going to be your MVP for game number 1, coming in with the 6 kills for the team that also took that first chicken dinner. So no surprise there. Absolutely holding down the fort, going absolutely nuts and making sure that his team came out alive with that crispy chicken dinner.
Yeah, the chicken is looking so tasty, but there is more chicken up for grabs today as we take a quick break. But when we'll be looking at 2 maps that are extremely what I call opposite ends, Sanhok and Miramar, as we bring you more PUBG Mobile at the Umzansi Esports League. This is Season 3 brought to you by Northern Gamings. My name is Dr. Sid, here with Esproxy and Pachi, and we will see you right after this break. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Umzansi Esports League Season 3 brought to you by Northern Gamings. And what a game we just had in the first match on Erangel. Esport Pachi here with Dr. Sid, bringing you all the action from the hottest esports league on the African continent. Guys, we just witnessed a masterclass from the BBC showing exactly how it needs to be done to move up the leaderboard. And obviously some consistency from the guys from G3 Temper. Some of our teams are doing, and some teams need to put up, or as they say, shut up, because the next round will only take 24 teams. Let's take a very, very quick look at the leaderboard, what it looks like right now, so you understand what these teams are fighting for and what happens if they don't make it.
Yeah, let's jump up in there. It's G3 Temp sitting in that number 1 spot, 147 points, nothing to scoff at, certainly. And if they can continue to pull off an experience like that first game, they'll be able to pop some more points on the board and continue their lead, which they are busy building over Gun. Of course, we have a couple of other teams down here, but the interesting thing that we noticed was that some of the teams that we saw performing in the previous games and previous weeks, not really showing up in that game 1. And so now it of course begs the question, are they going to be putting up a show this time around? Because they are, sort of fighting to stay at the top of the leaderboard, and if they're not careful, they might just lose that slot. It might just slip away from them.
And yes, this is the very special page of people that are not going to make it into the next round of matches. They need to come hard and come correct in the next few matches. Otherwise, it's going to be tough for them. I see my Sidizens Gaming hanging on to 24th spot. I've had a talk with the boys. They're doing the bare minimum. I need them to put their game up, because we are not going out in this tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Umzansi Esports League Season 3. There's some action coming up very soon in the map that is the tightest. It is the map that promotes close quarter combat. Esport is Sanhok. Tell us about Sanhok. What's happening on this map?
I say it time and time again, Sanhok is half the size of every other map. It's half the size of Erangel. It's half the size of Miramar, of course. 4x4 compared to 8x8. I mean, that's a big difference, and that obviously brings in a lot of close quarter combat. And for teams that, especially like to start slow, like to get those rotations in early, it can be a little bit challenging for them, because no matter what pathing they take, more oftentimes than not, you're going to be running into teams. I mean, they don't really have much place elsewhere to go. So for a lot of these teams that are taking it slow, they're going to be in for a shock now. But it's one of the most fun maps to watch, really, because it's oftentimes just absolute chaos, especially towards that end part where a lot of our teams, they play it quiet, and then we've got, like, I don't know, 12 teams in such a small area.
Well, the chaos is about to begin as the teams are flying in to all the different landing zones. My name is Dr. Sid, living in the very capable hands of Esport and Pachi as they talk you through all the action on Sanhok. This is the Esports League Season 3 PUBG Mobile, brought to you by Northern Gaming.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sid. All right, we're heading into Sanhok. We've just had our flight path disappear as the teams are dropping down onto the map in that zone, heading down all the way towards the south. This map, as we said, a little bit smaller, a little bit faster pace, but what I want to see here is I really want to see a sort of move to get teams to utilize their positioning on this map a lot more, because one of the things that really can become a problem here is the rotations. On other maps like Miramar and Erangel, you could get picked off maybe, you could get, a little bit of gatekeeping, you could get camped maybe, ambushed, but this map right here, it is so much worse, because if you move, the chances of you getting spotted are really, really high. But because of the size of the map as well, you have to move, because that blue zone is going to be on your heels. So it is literally a case of we have to keep moving, but the more we move, the more we have a chance of getting spotted. So you sort of have to take this from a position of, like, we know that the enemies know where we are, or we have to presume that they know where we are, or at least privy to some sort of indication as to where we are. So we have to play with that in mind. And I think a lot of the the balance in this game comes between, okay, how much time do we spend looting up? How much time do we spend getting ourselves ready? How much time do we spend putting the shots in? Rambo, already getting nailed, almost gets taken down. 1 HP remaining, manages to just stay alive at the time being, but G3 absolutely pulling the trigger right off the bat. This is exactly what I want to see, and this is actually what I was going to get to in my explanation. I was going to say that what I want to see is teams starting to maybe isolate a path for them and say, all right, we know that there's a team generally here, or maybe there's a good chance of a team being here. Let's go straight in. Let's just take the fight. Let's try and catch them while they're busy, because the teams are not focused on strats right now. They're not focused on their rotations right now. They're focused on getting the loot. They're focused on getting themselves ready. So they might not exactly be in the position to help one another. So you can isolate some really, really beneficial fights against the team if you can, you know, drive a wedge between them or pick one of the teammates off and sort of just one by one take them down. Really isolate the fights here. And that's what you need to do, especially in the early game, because as we move forward, when that zone gets small, it becomes that everyone is fighting everyone else. And you don't want to be in that situation too soon, because that situation is very much less controllable than a one-on-one. So you want to try and force as many one-on-ones as you can conceivably take, you know, as much as you feel like you and your team can take, and actually just go for as many advantages as you can possibly get. G3, they went into the compound, they took some kills, they're getting themselves looted up. I'm really hoping that we see them get some rotation going and maybe just find another team to do the same thing to, because we've already seen their gun skills, we've already seen their rotation ability, we've already seen them able to both attack and defend compound. So they really do seem to have a good grasp on the game. So I want to see some of that confidence from G3 that we were talking about in game number 1.
Yeah, and you know, those hot drops, we always talk about them, you know, it's high risk, it really is, but it can be just such a beautiful reward, because not only do you obviously get yourself some kill points, which we always love to see, but you might actually be taking a potential enemy out of the leaderboard, that, you know, moving you up the placement board, you know, giving yourself a little bit of room to work with. So it just is good all around, and we say it time and time again, those early engagements, if played right, they can really work off beautifully. But looking at it now, I mean, down to 14 teams, looking into, you know, an interesting Sanhok. You know, it's moving down towards, you know, the lower bottom left side of the map. So for a lot of the teams, they're going to have to make their rotations, you know, down south real quick if they want to get there as soon as possible. But like we said, you know, rotations, that's really where things can get a little bit dicey. So I enjoy this. I also enjoy, you know, when teams make that decision between, you know, do we actually take the risk of, you know, going quickly with a vehicle, or do we go, you know, silent and sneaky, like try and potentially catch a few teams of God. It's always an interesting little bit of a debate to go through. I mean, a lot of teams, they prefer one way or the other, but I think for majority of these teams, you know, especially the ones towards the lower end of the placements, they want to be playing it safe. Obviously, it's the first fallback that they're looking at. You know, they're scared to take those risky plays because they don't really have much of a safety net to work with. Whereas teams like Tempo, as we saw now, you know, they're feeling good, they're feeling confident, they're officially on the top of the leaderboard. You know, the overall leaderboard, they've just taken over, you know, Gun's position, so they're happy. And they had a fantastic showing in that that first map. They didn't even come first, but I think they came second. But they had 11 kill points. They took the second placement point, and that just shot them up tremendously. So it's beautiful to see. And now I think they'd be happy to, you know, take it a little bit further. Maybe get a little bit more. You know, they're probably one of the best teams, I think, to be in a position to take those risky moves that we were, you know, nudging and hoping for. And especially on a map like Sanhok, I mean, that's just bound to be interesting.
Yeah, it certainly is. So hopefully we can see a little bit of that coming out. For the time being, though, we are just going to have to wait and see what pops up. BBC on the move as per usual. They have been in the crosshairs of the Immortalz for a little while, but no immediate engagement as BBC are moving to the top of the hill. For luck, going to be there first. So they will have a little bit of that advantage as Immortalz tries to sidle up parallel to them and try and get a little bit of shots off. But speaking of shots, there's Nihal. He takes the first for luck and actually find those. Nihal does eventually go down in response. BBC have been quick to pull the trigger, looking for the thirst as well. Very close. There it is for luck. going to be picking that one up. They are just absolutely ruthless right now, not letting the Immortalz get away with it. The Immortalz were looking to try and respond, but they haven't been able to find anything. And one by one, they're getting picked off, and that's what I like to see. The rest of the Immortalz trying to run up and get something in return. And there's Umar going to find one in response. So the Immortalz are not going to just roll over and die. They're ready to fight back, and that's exactly what we're looking for. That's what we want to see. So the Immortalz have fought back. BBC a little bit low on HP here and there. Got to just heal themselves back up real quick. Hopefully this fight does continue, because this is quite an enjoyable engagement as of the moment. The one thing that we know about the sort of African continent style, as it were, is that very often we see the teams coming around from this region. They do like to play a little bit slower, do like to play a little bit safer than we see on international stages, where you see a lot more aggression coming through it just across the board. You know, that is just how it is. You know, regions, obviously, it just differs, strats differ from region to region, so that is to be expected. But it would be nice to see a little bit of the balance coming through. You know, it's like every time we see a team that's able to really get a good balance on their ability to find those fights and find those kills and manage those fights versus their ability to stay alive is really, really great. G3 really good at that. BBC showed us their skill at that. They have been really good at getting their rotations done. You know, that we've always known BBC for being a really good rotational team and really being able to distance themselves from a fight, but they have now shown us that they are equally as capable to take the fights and defend their positions and really get themselves in the thick of things, as long as they have, you know, some decent positioning in the zone. So we've seen some good things coming out of these teams. I like it. Hopefully we continue to see that, of course, as we move forward. We still have 14 teams. We've got 48 players here still on this map at the moment. But of course, with that blue zone moving us from zone 1 to zone 2, we are about to start running out of space real quick. And of course, as we move from that sort of mid-game area, we're going to start to see things pick up really quickly.
Yeah, especially on Sanhok. I mean, I don't know how, but we've always managed to have such, you know, quiet players, and then towards that, you know, final moments, we always say if you don't take out those teams early on, it's going to be chaos. And on Sanhok, that's expedited to a whole new level. It's interesting to me to actually see, you know, BBC, they were under a little bit of pressure there, and they were so good at taking those early rotations. And now once again, Six, Miyagi and Temper coming through, taking a couple of shots here. Coco, one in particular, looking just to find someone, just to find an angle here to try and do some damage back, get a little bit of revenge here. And Temper, I mean, Spaza Gaming Shroom under a little bit of pressure here. He's taking a couple of shots. Get into that cover spot, but it's not going to be quick enough. Coco's going to be taking him down and be happy with the assist there. It does go down in the return, though. So looking at it now, I mean, ooh, this is difficult. Deity and Horus, they have to make it work here. 2 against the 4 here of Temper, who now know exactly where they're at. The potential there for the res can still come through, but it's going to be quite a risky one if they want to go for it. I think that rotation comes through and they're going to try and get it. Trying to get Coco up as soon as possible, but it's not going to be the case. Horus is going down. Only one member left now. Deity, he has to make it work here. Temper, they are very happy to take this one away from them and just up those team kills. So far, only one has gone down for them, so they're pretty healthy, they're pretty happy, and now they're just waiting for the peak here, waiting for Deity to make a move here. The angle comes through. They know exactly where he's at. Just one more shot, maybe 2, and that's going to be it. Meds have to pop off immediately. He should be able to get it off, but will he be ready for it? Not the case. Gunnar going to be putting the final nail in the coffin, and now we are down to 13 teams.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I was hoping to see from G3 Temper here. Moving from place to place. Every time they need to make a rotate, they pick the spots, they isolate the 1v1, and then there it is. They win. And they've shown us this capability time and time again, just being able to win those fights, being able to play smart. I mean, they're on the move very consistently, but they're not too fast. It's not like they're trying to speed run this or sprint this too fast. I mean, they're moving when they need to move, but they are staying on the move as they need to do. And they're making sure that they find the spot to get into. They see, okay, there's only one team here. Let's go for it. They pick them apart bit by bit. They find the damage. They find the knocks. And suddenly they've won the fight and they've got the team wipe. And now they've got the complex. They've got the drops, all of the loot. and they're alone and they're all good and they've got time to recuperate and then move on and do the same thing again and again. That's where they pick up their kills, and that's why they're able to stay in for so long. I mean, G3 Tampa historically have been a team that we know gets a lot of their team to the end, if not every single one of their players to that end game when they do make it there. So I mean, that is something that they have proven capable of. And once again, despite roster shuffles, despite the changing up, they've shown us that they are still a team that can do that. They are still a team that are able to get that done, which is really, really cool to see. Hopefully, we'll see a few more teams start to come into their own here. We've got a lot of heavy hitters in these groups. And of course, here come the hits. Speaking of, Zero going to be putting them in. Hazeley going to be going down super quick. So we are seeing some more fights starting to break out as that zone moves in. But really, this is the teams, this is the players moving in, ready for those kills. No Brain actually going to be taking some shots in towards G3. So G3 are not unchallenged, and that's exactly the way it should be. Go and challenge the players, take the risk, go for the fights. That is what the teams seem to be doing right now. They're not content to just sit around. They want to go for it. Umar getting some good shots in towards the Not Gaming squad as the team does start to move through. Immortalz looking for a fight. They are looking to pick a fight right now. And that is exactly what we want to see. These teams are being active, and it is amazing.
Oh, zero tolerance, skills. They really didn't have the best of luck in the first map, and now look at this. Umar, he's just looking to do it all himself. He's like, yeah, I've got it. I'm not gonna leave it all to Jeff, to just play the placement game. I'm gonna help out this time around. And it's only 3 members remaining for zero tolerance, but they've done well to get the first knock. Unfortunately, they couldn't convert that into a team wipe just yet because the angles that they have to work with are a little bit tough. I mean, we've got Not Gaming. They've got both the buildings there. They can hold that crossfire. They have, relatively a good buddy system going on. They've got a duo in each building, so they can play it out quite nicely. Looking at it now, though, we do have Influence Rage Africa once again down to 2 members, and they have to look up the hill to Aphelion Apex, who are looking to take them out potentially. They're set up in that way, and they can just sit and wait for it. Neither team have to worry about it, the rotations just yet. They've pretty much got everything covered. Ooh, as I say that though, Blank Legion's going to be pulling up there on Influence Rage Africa. That's potentially going to be throwing a wrench in the works there. We'll see how that pans out in a little bit. At the moment now, we chime back here into the fight between Zero Tolerance, and they've actually spotted out Black Clover as well. So it's a bit of a triangle now to see who's going to be, coming out on top here, because at the moment, I think Not Gaming might be looking to make a little bit of a play here towards... Oh, actually, looking at it now, it's Zero Tolerance that are in trouble. And as I say that, Jeff goes out. So now Umar that was looking to do it all alone. Oh, he might have to do just that.
Indeed, certainly my Darkness looking for some shots. Well, Black Clover just retreating up behind the mountains. Definitely a difficult spot to be in. Snora looking for some shots here as Not Gaming, trying to position themselves in a decent spot to not go down. The Immortalz looking for some of those shots across the way, but are they going to land them? Are they going to be able to stay alive? Team a little bit separated here as Umar is going on a quest. Hamadi going to be trying to find some hits of his own as Black Clover looking to just put their presence on the board, especially since that blue zone is going to be moving in and they do need to move. They do need to rotate soon. It is going to be a tough one. Umar putting those shots in will find Jaeger in the meantime. That's a good find. It's going to be keeping Not Gaming squad on their toes, at least coming in for the res. Snora going to have to peek out and see what he can see, but very low on HP are all of the players here. They have to be super careful about what happens to them. Kage going to put the shots in towards Matrix. That's Apex going up against Undisputed AE. That's a tough one to be up against. Undisputed AE not finding the momentum that they wanted to find in that first game, and certainly finding a little bit difficult to get it in this game as well. So things are really looking tough, as you can see in that northwest upper corner of the circle. It is looking very difficult with the rotations coming in from the west and the north as well. So that zone is going to start looking a lot more crowded as we start moving in from zone 3 to zone 4. Things are going to be that much more difficult. It's great to see that the teams have been active, though. Usually by now, it is only where we start to see the fights really kicking off, and it's good to see that the teams have been active and actually been picking the fights earlier on. I mean, it's a little bit more manageable now, especially in some of the corners here. We've got 13 teams and 39 players remaining. We'll see if these teams can use the space that they have bought for themselves.
Absolutely. And you know what's interesting enough is they've been active, but it hasn't been necessarily converting that into team wipes. We still have 13 teams left. You know, only 2 away from where we started. Actually, I think closer to 1 away from where we started. So everyone is running a little bit low in terms of members, most of them at least. So for some of these teams, the uphill battle is just beginning, especially for teams that are down to 1 member, having to rotate now through the zone into the crosshairs of potential teams like Black Clover, who have actually been doing really well. I mean, they've been holding onto they've been holding their ground pretty well. They've been holding their positioning really well. You know, fighting off anyone that's trying to take them out. As I say that, I literally just cursed them. Hammerheat's gonna be going down, so they're taking a little bit of pressure now as I say it. I'm so sorry. I apologize. And Temper here looking to take out Rainbow Six, who are looking to try and rotate in the zone through. Ooh, a little bit of a difficult situation here as well. If we're looking at Fear Gaming now, on top of the hill, it's Undisputed AE, it's Potato, and it's a Hill who just want to take them out. Come on, just peek, say hi, so we can finish this off. And there it is. Chris going to be going down, King as well. Quite quickly, Fear out for the count, really. So they're going to be going down as our 13th team to drop, and Undisputed are going to be happy to add that to their tally. Though they have to be careful, because just on the other side, we've got No Brain, who is just happy to give them a couple of shots and say, how you doing? Maybe take a couple of kills. From 6 here, I mean, they've got a nice position here. They can see quite openly to pretty much all around them. Nice position to hold it. And, ooh, Not Gaming as well, taking some unfortunate damage there. Scurry going down. And that might be potential ended for Not Gaming, depending on how they recover that. Temper as well taking damage. So everyone now is just starting to throw the hits in. I mean, Temper as well returning the favor there to Zero Tolerance. So for most of these teams, it's really going to be about how we hold on to our numbers, how we hold on to the consumables, use them wisely. And BBC, whoa, I blinked and I saw 2 members of BBC going down as well. So everyone that we had, you know, doing so well in the previous games, they're under pressure right now. You can see BBC, I think they're down to 1 member, in fact, and they're still getting, you know, getting quite a lot of pressure there.
Yeah, they're being pressurized up inside the zone. I'm not sure if they're even going to be able to last that long for the time being. Of course, we've got the 11 teams remaining, 33 players alive. Lots of teams trying to make it in. You can see a little bit of camping going on down here by Rainbow Six. They're looking to put a little bit of pressure onto the teams that want to rotate in across that line. They might just do a good job of a G3 looking to move across that line as well. They need to get themselves there safely. So many crosshairs trained in all of these different directions. Ultra 6 moving in, get themselves over that line. Everyone just trying to get safe, but G3, they're not letting it happen. They want to move into the zone. They want to get themselves safe. And, well, if you're standing in their way, they need to remove you. And indeed, they are looking to do just that. Rainbow Six is their adversary at this point in time. Is G3 going to be able to push them out of this building? Or are they going to go down? Are they going to find their death on this hill is the question. Rainbow Six now getting themselves into the house together to make sure they have a little bit of support. But is that going to be the go signal for G3 to maybe just toss a couple of grenades in through that window, get a bit of damage done? Let's have a look and see. They are moving in, of course, that blue zone, forcing them to push forward. In the meantime, Undisputed AE moving right at the back of the Ultra 6. That's going to be a bit of a problem. Lynx finds immediate shot in towards them. Going to look to pick up his teammate as well, getting them in a decent position. Zero putting the shots in as Shroomer goes down. Zero Tolerance being a bit of a thorn in G3's side as they try to make the rotate. As you can see, pushing across here, there's so many players looking in their direction. They're finding it super difficult. Gunner goes down. G3, this might be the end for them as they try and push across that line. Find absolutely no ability to get through. They're really going to put the shots in, but is he going to be the last surviving member of his team? Yes, he is. Tries to get some nade damage done, but it's a 1v3 with that blue zone moving in. Rainbow Six might not be in the greatest spot, but Bearden, he's just going to full send it, going to go in. Try his luck. Here it comes. Instantly peeks out, gets that thirst, but he's going to have to find 2 more players. Here it comes. The shots go through, and they do indeed land. Bearden making his debut is absolutely nuts here for G3 in this season. Has come onto the roster and just been performing here for his team. Manages to clutch it out against Rainbow Six, keep his team alive, but gets third party. That's the name of the game. Darkness going to be the one to put those shots in, and this is the chaos. This is what Rainbow Six have done to G3. They put them in a tough position, and now the shots are flying. now everyone is in such a compromised spot that it is just a chain reaction going through of all these teams moving in, trying to get themselves across that line, but they are being exposed all over the show. Potato super low on HP as Kage has its crosshairs absolutely trained now, trying to keep BBC alive. Hamadi goes down as the Immortalz find themselves under fire from Zero Tolerance. The shots come through from Black Clover as well. Everything is super tough. 8 teams remaining if we move from Zone 6 in towards Zone 7 very soon, if they're even able to survive it at this point. Miyagi in the blue zone with Ultra 6. What a tough spot to be in, man. All of these teams are just under huge amounts of pressure.
Huge amount of pressure indeed. I think that's sugarcoating it a little bit. I mean, we're down to 7 teams. The zone is so tiny. Rusty, unfortunately, trying to just hold on, but is going to get taken down there by Miyagi, who is looking for so much more and has to do quite a lot here. I mean, at this point, you got to show up, man. You got to try and get as many kills as you can. Make that really work for your team. And Miyagi's alone and afraid, and is actually going to get taken out there by Vortex. So Zero Tolerance going to be happy with that one. Looking at it now, Aphelion Apex still fighting for dear life here, as Not Gaming as well, taking so much pressure, and I think that's going to be too much for them. Aphelion now, I mean, they've got 3 members here. Zero, he's chunking it real quick. I mean, he's so low, and it's just, it keeps going. Skydo doing so well to put more damage into the pot here. We're down to the top 3, and it could be going either way. I mean, we have 8 members alive. So we've obviously we've got 3 members here of Aphelion Apex. At least 5 left for the remaining 2 teams. So definitely not really a happy time if you're solo in this situation. If you're Sahil in this situation, who's just taking damage after damage after damage and is going to fall to what I believe was Vortex there. So man, Zero Tolerance, they're happy right now. They're sitting pretty.
Yeah, I think they've
having a
almost
good
won,
time.
to be honest. I mean, look at this positioning. They've got the high ground. Sure, they have to move, but if they pick their moments right, I mean, Aphelion Apex is split up, and here come the shots. Hey, it's going to land them. That should be it. They've driven them into a corner, driven them into a wedge, and that blue zone hasn't really started moving in just yet. So, I mean, they have a bit of time to work with, and well, Aphelion Apex, like I said, they're split up. Kage, yeah, sure, he's in the zone, but he's alone. If they take him down, the rest of the team is absolutely slam dunked, I think is the best way I could put that, because look at them. They're on the other side of the map. They're low HP, smoking a wall to try and keep themselves alive, whereas Zero Tolerance skills, they can just run straight into the zone, take out Kage, play for trades even, and they'll still work out. And there it is. They've got zone control, and everything's good to go. So Aphelion Apex in a really tough spot here. Kage has to do so much work. He's going to be juicing himself up with those painkillers because he knows the trouble is on its way. Here they come. Vortex going to be the first one straight on in. Can he find those shots, though? He's being careful. He's not going in too quickly. He's playing the mind games with Kage here. Up he comes. Nades go in. He's really just doing his due diligence, making sure that they're not going to go down too quickly. They want to secure this chicken, and with that blue zone moving in, with the damage being done, with Zero going down, that should be it. Cold's the last one left alive. He's trying to fight the zone, trying to keep himself alive, and we know how that works. It doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, here for Zero Tolerance, right? I mean, they're all alone in one building. One nade would just literally finish it all off. But unfortunately for Cold, I mean, he's fighting the zone. As you said, he literally can't do much but shift walk, take nades, take meds, sorry, and just try and stay alive. That zone is absolutely just chunking his HP right now. There's not much that he can do, and he's unfortunately walking into the open. Vortex peeking out there, potentially seeing a little bit of something, and Cold in a position now that he's not wanting to work with. I mean, what more do they need to do? It's one more bullet, and that's going to be it. They interrupt his nades. That's it. He has to make a run for it. He's trying to fight it out, but it doesn't matter. The zone is going to be there to finish it off. Zero Tolerance, just absolutely fantastically played there. I mean, looking at it now, they've got 11 kills to the team name. Not going to be sad about that one. Also taking the winner chicken dinner. So beautifully played there by them. And once again, you know, it's similar to how the first map ended. BBC, they had all 4 members sitting pretty, sitting healthy, to work with in the last zone, whereas everyone else, they were hurting. They were, you know, 1 member down, 2 members down to a solo member of the team, and then they have to take on the full force here of Zero Tolerance. So beautifully played by them. Undisputed AE coming in 3rd place. Also not going to be too unhappy about that. I mean, they showed up in the second map, which is what we wanted to see, and I think they should be happy.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I was trying not to. I was screaming and hoping that it wouldn't get into the ears of the casters while they were casting, because that game had so much intensity. I was like, how did Zero Tolerance get into such an amazing position from the beginning of the game? Like, they just sat at the top of that hill. And the moment I saw that, I felt it's all over. They've won this. Looking at the Aphelion Apex being split into two sides, let's take a look at the standings after this game. What happened? Patchy, talk us through this.
Yeah, well, of course, Zero Tolerance going to be sitting at the top there with a very juicy 11 kills on top of their 15 placement points for that winner chicken dinner, putting them 26 points for that first spot in that game. Of course, Aphelion Apex finding that second spot, as they did manage to make it up in there with the 8 kills on top of that. Influence Rage as well, making it up into the third spot, and Undisputed AE in fourth with both with 12. So it's good to see them showing up on the top half of the leaderboard once again. We needed to see them there because they have a position to maintain. I mean, they want to stay on that first page of the overall standing, so definitely need to be there. Unfortunately for G3, of course, we saw them putting in some kills, but not the placements that we generally expect from them. They did get wiped out a little bit early for some unfortunate events that happened, but that is exactly how Sanhok plays out. I mean, they were trying to manage it. They did some really good jobs at going for the kills, moving in for the rotates, and that's what we like to see from G3, but they did get caught out, and that's just the name of the game. You cannot control all elements. You can't win all the time, and that's what's so interesting about it. Of course, moving into that second page, we have the last 6 teams sitting towards the bottom. Of course, Fear, Spaza, Blank Legion. I'm not sure. I think Fear is actually at the bottom of the overall standings, or towards the bottom, if I'm not mistaken. So they need to move themselves up just a little bit as well. Really needing to put the points on the board, and just not being able to do so is going to be really, really tough for them. Unfortunately for BBC as well, seeing them down at the bottom is never a good thing. But it's actually going to be Burden who takes those kills, and I mean, that is absolutely understandable. I mean, we saw him do some insane work there for the team. That clutch that came through, definitely well deserved. But yeah, it's unfortunate they had to get third partied at the end there. Got caught out a little bit on the rotate, and that is just how it is. But yeah, definitely a well-deserved MVP for those 8 kills coming out of that match.
Yes, and that is exciting to see as we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Umzansi Esports League Season 3, the PUBG Mobile tournament brought to you by Nodwin Gaming. The action is hot. We have one more map to go for the rest of the night, and we'll see you right after this break. This is Esproxy and Patchy. Welcome back, guys, to the Umzansi Esports League Season 3, brought to you by Nodwing Gaming. We are live. We are back for the final game on Miramar. We have had two amazing matches today. We've seen shifts in the leaderboard. We've seen some consistency. I'm here, Dr. Sid, with Esproxy and Patchy, bringing you the action. Hey, guys, what are we looking forward to in this final game? Patchy?
Well, it's Miramar, so of course we have to talk about that long range. We got to talk about G3 temper as per usual. Put up a decent fight, not the performance that we generally expect out of them necessarily, but I mean you can't expect teams to be 100% all the time. But I mean, if there was a team that could be up there at least like 95% all the time, it has to be G3. We've seen some good movements from them. The headspace seems to be in the right place, at least for in terms of what they're thinking, what they want to try and achieve on the map. So I'm definitely expecting them to put up a good performance here. Going into Miramar, the rest of the teams, though, a lot of them need to step up because they are slowly sliding down that leaderboard. Now, Aphelion Apex did a good job of keeping themselves up there. They're sitting in 6th at the moment. Undisputed AE and Influence Raid South Africa, they are sliding down there. Zero Tolerance, at least sitting up there. Gun sitting up there. And G3 Tempo, of course, with that pole position. They are challenging for that spot because we saw them last season. They were looking for it, going to be a little bit disappointed from that. So they're going to be vying for this spot and they're going to be pushing hard for it. So I really do expect G3 to be in the driver's seat as much as possible moving into this one. So I expect them to put those long range shots in. I expect them to just be that thorn in the side of the teams like we know they can be. As for the rest of the teams, we're just going to have to see if they can keep themselves alive, get those kills in that they need to. I mean, we've got teams like BBC. They're sitting at the moment on 11, so they're still safe. I mean, they're still in that zone. Spaza 6 as well. They're still in the safe zone. They're still in those top 24 positions. So they just want to keep that.
I can tell you who's not in the top 24, though. I can tell you for a fact who's not in the top 24. Sidizens Gaming.
Well, we're about to see because moving into the top 24.
There we go.
Rainbow Six Madagascar are going to be stealing away that 24th spot from Dr. Sid's very own. So they're going to have to, they're going to have to put it in some big business to get themselves out of that relegation slot because, of course, that is not where you want to be. Once this round ends, at the very end of the round, it's going to be cut off. And these are the teams that will be cut off. So these are the teams that are going to have to put the extra work in. And
let me do my little meme. You don't want to be a citizen in pain in Africa because you'll be afraid of people nibbling at your toxic blank plays. How's that?
Yeah, all right. You know what? It wasn't as smooth as the other ones, but you know what? I'll give it to you. Definitely, you don't want to be caught out on that page. Is the bottom line?
You don't. And Esbury, which one of these teams do you feel could surprise us in this particular game? Based on what we've seen in the first two matches, who do you think would be a surprise, maybe top 4, top 5 finisher today?
Well, we actually have a couple of predictions from Instagram, so I'll leave it up to the viewers to tell you. We have got a couple of people actually shouting out Rainbow Six Madagascar. We've got quite a few actually shouting for Temper and for UAE. We've got Respect iOS. We've got a few people like the Clutcher, who are saying that UAE will actually at least take one. Euphoric 1 and a few others, shouting out Not Gaming's name. So those are also people we should be looking out for, like Tezuka PUBG M, who also says Not Gaming going to come in the clutch, and Temper Boy actually shouting out for Immortalz. So I think you need to rethink the name there potentially.
I would like to see Not Gaming, game and not game. Do you know what I mean? Because I remember the last few weeks, they were struggling at the bottom, but they seem to have put up some points on the board and have moved up to a decent position on the leaderboard. So Not Gaming, I'm rooting for you in this particular match. Let's see if you can bring home that winner chicken dinner as we go into one of the maps that I feel reminds me of Afghanistan. It's so wide, it's so open, it's so big, and everything is just about the long range and getting your positioning right. If I played PUBG Mobile the way some of these guys did, I would be an ace #1 international competitor. Maybe not, but yeah, we'll just leave it to the specialists. Patchy, I'm going to say one more thing. I have just one more question before we go in. So some of these teams in these maps are consistently performing under par. You know, we have the teams that do well and they fall off, but there are teams that are consistently performing under par. What do they need to do to be better in the closing phases of this first round?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one because they really need to get into a rhythm moving into this one. I mean, they really have to find themselves because it is about being able to be on the move. I think a lot of teams get shell shocked a little bit. They get in, they maybe lose a game or two, and then that puts them into like scared mode, and they don't want to take a risk. They don't want to get confident. They don't want to challenge all that much. We actually saw a couple of engagements last week where some of the teams, even though they were in a good position, they actually retreated as soon as they got pushed. And I mean, that's the sort of mentality that will probably get you killed a little bit more. So maybe pick up a little bit of confidence, get that clear reset of the mind. You know, don't think of yourself as, oh, we're at the bottom, we're losing, we're never going to make it. You know, reset that mental, get in there, and try and do something. I know a lot of teams just want to give up, but I think perhaps instead of sort of playing safe or giving up, rather try something different, try something crazy and unexpected. You could actually just find that you perform a lot better than you expect. So yeah, that's I think what the teams should try and pull out of the hat there.
Well, let us expect the unexpected. Go into our final map of the day. It is the Umzansi Esports League Season 3, brought to you by Nodwin Gaming. You are in the very capable hands of Prachi and Esport. See you after the game.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sid. Once again, moving into our final map of this evening. It is going to be Miramar, of course. It's going to be the long range. It's going to be quite the fight moving in. And hopefully we do start to see those. Of course, we did see the zone down towards the south and, of course, the drops all over the show. I don't think they're going to have too much of a problem rotating into the zone itself. So it really is going to be down to these teams to make the shots happen. And just going back to what I was saying about, you know, some of the teams being at the bottom trying to get something done, you know, there's always a question of, you know, has the team been putting in the work? I mean, if you're in the Umzansi Esports League, you've definitely been putting in the work at some point, and you don't want to let that go to waste. So keep the foot down on the pedal, keep pressing down on the gas. You want to keep your team on that grind because the prize that awaits you at the end of the day is absolutely worth it. I mean, you get such great rewards just for being here and putting in the work and getting to the top. And you know, if you just let that slip away because you know you're having an off day or you're feeling a little down, you know, you've actually done yourself a bit of a disservice. So I think if you're sitting down at the bottom there, like, don't give up. Absolutely press on, go on that grind, go on the attack, go on the offensive, find your style, find your kills, find the placements, and get something going. I mean, if you know that there's a team sitting, you know, maybe a place or two above or below you, you know, go for them. Try and pick on them. Bully them. Be mean. It doesn't matter. At this point, I mean, go for those points. Seriously, like, you can't feel sorry for other teams right now. You know, it's like you give them that respect. You make sure you play clean and honest, but you absolutely tear into them. You take that spot right from them. You go for those kills. You have no remorse when you wipe them off of the battlefield and send them back to the lobby. This is about getting those dubs. This is about getting those points. This is about getting those bragging rights. This is about making it to the finals of the Umzansi Esports League, where you could potentially win a absolute boatload of cash and stick that in your hand for playing this game.
No, agreed. And I mean, for teams like Spaza 6 and Blank Legion, you know, who are sitting past that 24th spot, the placement spot, I might need to be corrected there. But for teams like those, you know, they really need to go for it. I mean, at this stage, there's nothing for them to lose. There's literally nothing because they haven't gained anything just yet. They haven't made it past that 24th team marker yet. And they have a lot of catching up to do because as we see, you know, the scoreboard, it shifted so crazily. I mean, when we started, Pain Africa was sitting in 24th, and we saw where they were at when we just looked at the overall standings now. And that's because obviously they're not playing. The rest of the teams are. They're the ones, you know, gaining those points. And it's their night to get the points. And it's the night for, you know, teams like Blank Legion and Spaza 6 that they really have to come to the party here. They really need to get as many points as they can because their opportunities are, you know, starting to run away. You know, they might be used to this group now, but come the next time we see them, and it'll be a brand new group, and it will be a completely different experience and a completely different strategy that they need to run with. So for these teams, they need to engage, they need to be active, they need to be, like the Tempers, like, so many of the other teams that we've seen, finding and looking for those easy kills potentially, especially, early on when everyone's still trying to loot up, trying to get, kitted. They're not in the best position to really take the fight. So yeah, hopefully we will see this. BBC are not gaming, they're actually quite close to each other, or rather Law and Macho might be seeing them go head to head just now, as the zone is going to start slowly but surely getting closer and closer. And I mean, looking at it now, I'm not sure where the rest of BBC is at. It looks like majority of Not Gaming are here, but I do not see BBC. Is it just Law? Where you at, guys? Where you at?
Where the rest of the squad? Come on. Maybe BBC is trying a spicy strat, or maybe they hit a bit of a bad drop. That does happen sometimes. You step away from your phone for a second, and then you remember, oh wait, I'm playing in the Umzansi Esports League. You're trying to make some tea, and then you're like, oh yeah, I have a game to play, and then the rest of your team's dropped without you, and that's a sad boy's life. But you know what? You gotta make it happen. Gotta make it happen. So maybe Law can make it happen. Maybe he can reclaim some space here, get back to the rest of the team if they're on the board. Yes, they are. So they are somewhere. Hopefully, they will be able to join up and once again become a unit and play together. Of course, moving on, we're going to wait and see if these teams will find those engagements that they're looking for. So far, from what it seemed like on the map, there were a couple of potential engagements that were happening, but those have not yet kicked off. The teams are relatively isolated, getting themselves looted up, kitted up, get ready to go, as we would expect from them. And then, of course, I mean, the default strategy in this map is get yourself looted up and find a really good spot to sit on top of a hill and just shoot people in the general vicinity. At least that's G3's general strategy. We'll see if they can make it happen. We'll see if they can continue to do what they do best. And I mean, they do it on other maps, but on Miramar especially, I mean, you will see them do it every time they find a mountain. They just absolutely just tear into teams that they spot. I mean, if they see you even walking past a window, it might just be late for you, because then you're going to get nailed by some shots, and that's never where you want to be, especially if players like SixGod have got that car in hand ready to snipe you back into that lobby. So team's going to have to be pretty careful here. Of course, G3 doing what they do, moving along, getting those rotations and looking for some potential prey, some potential targets as they continue to loot. And yeah, I mean, what else do we expect from the beginning of Miramar? Playing a little bit slowly, we didn't see any super hot drops, we didn't see any crazy engagements just yet. So it really is going to be a final frontier, last stand sort of scenario where these teams want to present the strongest front that they can in the final game here of this evening.
Absolutely. I mean, for the teams at the top, they might be sitting just, thinking maybe we should just hold on to what we've got. Maybe we shouldn't be like Temper and go running wild looking for kills. Maybe we should just, hold on. And, Flacco. Oh, my goodness. I'm being taught things. How did you... Patchy? Explain gravity to me?
So, if you sacrifice your soul in exchange for infinite power... Yeah, apparently is what's happening here. Flecko, of course, the man of the time. He has done that. He's done exactly. I mean, when I said G3 likes to find a really tall mountain, this is a tall boy.
This is the tallest boy. This is a very tall one, and most people can't get here because they clearly don't know how to really drive the buggy. They clearly don't know the true talents that this vehicle does hold.
They have not clearly unlocked the full power of the dark side just yet.
It is the Spider-Man of all the vehicles. It can go where no other vehicle has tried to go before. But I mean, then these are the players that just know how to play this game. And I was actually I was talking to someone who had just watched, one of the episodes of okay, I'll tell that just now. In the meantime, let's focus on Zero, who's taking a little bit of damage here. He's in a bit of a position now, actually, because in front of him, he's got Prime, who's blowing up vehicles around him. Behind him, he's got another Rainbow Six member who is happy to take the kill instead, depending on where they can look for the angles here. And oh, Zero, I'm so sorry for you. It's just not going to be going your way. But yeah, it's weird. I was explaining to a friend of mine who had watched this, and he was like, "Oh no, they plug in, like a keyboard and a mouse into their phone, or something with a dock, right? That's how they play this." And I had to explain to him, the different ways that people play this, the different claw grips and like how many your fingers some might use compared to others, how they shift around their HUD, and showed him some footage, and he was absolutely gobsmacked. And I think I sometimes forget that these are players that play on mobile phones. I can barely type a WhatsApp message correctly, and these guys can just shoot shots like absolute geniuses on their phones. So
Yeah.
I feel like we don't mention it enough, but it's just it's impressive to watch. I completely forget that we're looking at a mobile game sometimes. It's just the graphics that give it away. It's just that.
Yeah,
Nothing else.
I mean, you're absolutely right on that front. I mean, a lot of people tend to not realize that, and they, especially if they haven't really played, for instance, PUBG Mobile, they will be absolutely gobsmacked when they jump into a game with players like this and just get immediately nailed. Because I mean, like
Smacked.
you said, it's hard to
Wrecked.
type a WhatsApp message for some people, and then you jump into this, and these guys are absolutely out of their minds controlling these these games through their fingers, sitting there on their phone, just absolutely wreaking havoc across the board. And that's why it's so impressive to see, especially when you see a team like really shining and doing some crazy stuff. I mean, the clutches that we've seen, I mean, big brain stuff being executed here. I mean, they are translating those big brain plays into the game at super fast speeds, and it is definitely commendable. And I mean, we are seeing, some of the best that this region has to offer, going at it head to head every single time, season after season, and it's absolutely phenomenal to watch. And I mean, this is just a reminder: we run these cups side by side. This is the Umzansi Esports League, and side by side with this, we've got the Incorsi Super Cup, which is the sort of open bracket where you can sign up. So if you've got a team, if you play this game, and even if you don't play this game, you can jump in here, give yourself a shot, because you could just end up finding yourself in the Umzansi Esports League competing for some serious prize money here. And it's all you got to do is have a mobile
you get
phone.
prize money competing.
Yeah,
you get prize money just winning the Incorsi Super Cup. I mean, there's a prize pool every single week. There's 7 weeks of the Incorsi Super Cup left, so there's opportunities for you to not only get a little bit of extra cash, but maybe even upgrade to some bigger cash, some big boy cash.
Yeah, exactly. So big. That's
Sounds
exactly
like a good plan to me.
Yeah, you just, I mean,
Yeah,
all you need is that phone. Everyone's got a phone, right? I mean, you got WhatsApp, you got it. I mean, if you're watching this, you're probably even watching on a phone, maybe. Whip it out, download the game, get playing, get yourself a team, squad up, play some Incorsi, get good, and maybe we'll see you on the battlefield, and you'll be the one competing. You'll be the one absolutely going crazy with these shenanigans that happen all the time here on the Umzansi Esports League. Here by Nodun Gaming, we have some crazy stuff going on, and it's not just PUBG Mobile, of course. We got lots of games running on the loop, got some crazy tournaments going on. Esproxy knows all about that. And I mean, it's shenanigans. It's shenanigans all over the show, and that's what we like. So hopefully here for the final match of this evening, we will see some shenanigans, because that is what we're waiting for here. I want to end off my week with a bang here. It's been a crazy week. It's been a tough week. We don't like work. Who likes work? We want to get into weekend, and this is weekend stuff right here. This is getting pumped up stuff right here. So let's get into this game. I want to see these teams just annihilating each other, because that is all that is going to satisfy me at this point. I am no longer satisfied with
violence.
You
just want violence.
I need some violence.
You woke up today and you chose violence, and now you just want to witness violence.
Yes, that is exactly what happened.
Such a violent patch we've got here. But yeah, I mean, looking at it now, Undisputed AE, they've actually literally so perfectly got Aphelion Apex sandwiched It's just cold. It's Kage. They're in a building together and they're wondering, what are we doing at this point? Because we've got Matrix on the other side. He's making a lot of noise, you know, just literally trying to distract Aphelion Apex from the fact that they've got 3 Undisputed AE members pulling up right behind them. Law, in the meantime, has found Horus. So he's doing well to you know, stay alive and potentially have reunited with his team. A lot of players actually dropping to the play zone as they're trying to get those rotations coming through. And PBC reunited. That's fantastic. And now they can focus on Spaza Gaming here. They can focus on, you know, just potentially taking them out. Spaza 6 are in a little bit of a trouble here because we've mentioned it, you know, they're one of the teams that are under pressure right now to try and get those points to stay in that top 24. And as the nades get cooked and thrown into Aphelion Apex, not going to be connecting just yet, but that pressure is just slightly being applied. Kage and Cold now in a position to try and hold on to this, and they're doing quite well to clap back at Sahil, who's taking a little bit of damage. Oh, taking quite a lot of damage as well. And Fear on the other side, in a little bit of a dispute there with Temper chiming in. But drawing our attention to this, I mean, for Aphelion Apex here, we are only, you know, 13 teams in. If they drop here, no placement points. Nothing.
Yeah. That is, that's exactly where they're going to find themselves if they're not careful. And it has to be one of these teams. I mean, all of these teams are going to be faced with the possibility of heading back to that leaderboard, or to the lobby, sorry. And it's just a reality. It's whether you can win the fight or not. It's whether you're even willing to take the fight or not. Undisputed AE making a decision to try and maybe rotate away, which could be a smart decision. BBC pushing the shots in and evasion. They're going to take a little bit of damage. But there's Gunner using that Mini 14 from the top of this hill. That G3 have decided to take control of for the time being, trying to put those long-range shots down towards Hainsley and Sully. These poor guys getting hammered away from such a long range. It is a tough spot to be in for luck, putting those nades across, but getting hammered by Miyagi. Ultra 6 putting the shots in. This is a tough one to be in. BBC a little bit scattered around here, not presenting too well here, but Ultra 6 at least, they are on the back of this engagement. Was being slightly lower, so at least there is a little bit of hope for BBC. Here comes G3 continuing. Flacco, the man with the magic wheels, is going to be putting some shots across in towards the couple of teams sitting back. There's actually 2 teams sitting at the bottom there. It's Immortalz and Not Gaming, as well as Influence Rage. So they've got 3 teams sitting down in their crosses, and this is exactly what I talk about every single time. This is what G3 Temper does. They annoy the heck out of you no matter where you are. You could be in the building. You could be on the other side of the map. They don't care because they're on top of an impossibly tall hill, putting shots into you and making you cry.
And, you know, this is what we were sort of alluding to. I mean, Temper, they were absolutely ridiculous on Sanhok, right? They went for the kills. Even when they were 1 man down, he went and took out an entire team. So now they're sitting so pretty up there. Literally, figuratively, I didn't mean to put the pun there, but I did it anyway. They're sitting pretty on top of everyone, watching everyone. And as you mentioned, they're just being an annoyance. They're just, you know, potentially stealing a few kills here and there, but they can see literally everyone. I mean, look at that mountain. It's huge. It's massive. They have all the angles in check, and they can just wait for the teams to fight it out, get them through that placements gap, and just hold on, which is, it's beautiful to see. And it's that early rotation that really comes in clutch. It doesn't really always grant you as many kills necessarily as you'd want to, because you're not in the thick of the action, but there's always beautiful potential. As we can see, Gunner, he's just taken out Not Zeus. So now Not Gaming is 1 member down, and I mean, what can they do to clap back at Gunner? They can't even see Gunner.
Yeah. They really can't, and that is a problem. Speaking of a problem, though, Miyagi is a problem for BBC, putting those shots in with that M4. And, well, with that blue zone moving on the back, it's going to be a little bit difficult. Immortalz taking quite a few shots from the Not Gaming squad. A good Molotov. Going to absolutely roast them alive. Oh, that's a bit of a problem.
That's a huge problem. No, I mean, that molly... Is that... stop with the mollies!
Well, keep going with the mollies. That's fine, too.
I mean, for your team, absolutely keep going with the mollies, but that molly is ridiculous. I don't know what you added to that, but woo, it's a fiery pit for anyone running into that one right now. Coco as well, looking to put in a couple shots, taking down Potato, and actually getting a little bit of a trade there. Hamidi takes him down, and now we are still with 13 teams alive. I have to remind you of this. 1 more team going out now is going to go down with no placement points, but look at the absolute chaos that's coming through, right? Rotations have to still happen. Temper is going to have to rotate into the zone. It's actually not favoring them, but they're going to run straight into Not Gaming
don't care.
and secure that placement gap. Not Gaming going out in 13th place. Unfortunately for them, potentially a couple of kills that would have helped them out in terms of points, but for now, they're not getting anything for placements. Turning back our attention to these 12 teams that are still in this and still fighting out. It's Zero Tolerance that are right close and personal to Rainbow Six, and they might be looking at a fight on their hands. And if they do, I mean, you've got, Influence Rage Africa, who can see all of this happening and just chime in at their earliest convenience with the rotations entering into it. Now, the team that's got the buildings, right, the team that has that position, just wait for rotations to come through, can do exactly what Rainbow Six are doing here. They're just taking a couple of shots, whichever team they feel like it, whichever team they can spot up, they've got it. Temper now, they've taken the rotation in, woo, trying to take some shots, potentially connected. Nothing just yet for the moment. But man, you can just hear the shots pumping through. Vortex going to be finding Gunner, actually. So finally, a little bit of revenge. So yeah, I felt that M14 shot earlier. Here you go. Have one of your own. And, ooh. Gunner is unfortunately going to be taken out permanently for the count. And now Temper down to 2 members. It's not bad, but they have 5 kills and they've made it to top 10. So again, even though they were playing it passively, they just slowly but surely just chipped away and found a couple of kills here and there. It's actually quite great. I mean, I don't know why I was saying it's not bad. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, G3, they, I mean, if anyone spotted them out on top of that hill, I really hope next time that happens, like somebody just challenges them on top of the hill so we can get a hilltop battle of the ages. Yeah, in any case, of course, G3 now has to make the move on in towards the zone, which they've done, gotten themselves just across that line, but now up ahead of them is just about every team imaginable, and they're going to have to fight their way through if they want to survive, unless the zone favors them, of course. We'll see if that RNG is with them. For the time being, though, the nades are flying. A little bit of damage is done. Zero Tolerance skills right up ahead of them. Of course, Black Clover also in a pretty decent position to potentially put some shots across, although they are separated. Influence Rage chasing down high on the other side there and actually going to find those shots in towards him. So down he goes. Undisputed AE and, of course, Rainbow Six, Madagascar sitting in the midst of things as well. Up comes G3 pushing in towards Zero Tolerance, but they will not tolerate that. They will put the shots in. They will stop them from just absolutely stepping all over them. Vortex got a lot of work to do, has to keep his team alive, afloat here as G3 move on in. The shots coming through, not going to land, though. That's a bit of a problem. And down he goes, immediately eradicated by G3, as once again, they just, I mean, they play this chess game, but it's like, there's a line of pawns, and then there's just a queen, and then the queen just goes one by one, taking out every pawn as she makes her way across the board, and that's sort of what it feels like. That's what it was on Sanhok, and here it is once again on Miramar, which is G3's specialty. We'll see if they can keep it. The Rainbow Six, of course, putting those shots in. It is Stone with that LMG putting in some serious damage there, or at least some suppressing fire. Prime here to maybe capitalize a little bit on the angle as well. Has to be super careful though, because G3, you can't mess with them. And speaking of, here comes BBC to end the lives of Aphelion and Apex. They're cold getting taken out. Kage as well getting nailed. Buden actually going to get taken out by Stone. Some angles being held. G3 in a bit of a spot. Actually almost completely wiped out. 306 spraying through the smoke. They don't care. They've got the bullets to spare. They can just take G3 out. If you can challenge him through it, that's what we want to see. That's what I've been saying. Just absolutely lay down the law. Put your shots down and do not let up for a second. G3 in a bit of a tough spot now, have to move forward, try and challenge the teams up in this position. Absolutely squeezed into this tiny space. 8 teams and 18 players still alive as the shots are just absolutely flying and everyone is congregating in towards these buildings. Shots come through. Six God does go down, so that's G3 saying goodbye to that lobby. Moving in, 7 teams, 15 players left alive as everyone is vying for that top spot. BBC is still alive. Rainbow Six is still alive as well. And, well, lots of fights still to be had. Black Clover off towards the one side. Influence Rage just off to the side here. We still have Matrix from Undisputed AE alive, keeping the team hopes and dreams in the air. Berserk for Spaza also going up against Fear, who need the points absolutely desperately. It would be a tragedy if Berserk were to take both of them down here. Here comes the damage, and actually it looks like Fear should be able to get this, and they will. Down Berserk goes. So at least they pick up some points that they desperately need. 6 teams left remaining here. Black Clover in a little bit of a tough spot as the blue zone pushes them up ahead, but this is an absolute bloodbath waiting to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, look at where the zone's ending, right? It's once again, it's in BBC's favor. They're already in zone. They're already just sitting, waiting, and watching the chaos unfold before them. All the teams have to rotate out, and as they rotate, they're either going to be going into BBC's crosshair or into the team that's right next door to them. So it's not a fun time for either. Whereas BBC, once again, I mean, they're sitting only with 2 members this time around, but they're sitting in the zone. And ooh, Rainbow Six, though, they can potentially change this up. Nice little use of the vehicle there to get themselves right next door to BBC, and they're going to be the first to actually put pressure on them. So they've only taken 2 members here to deal with the 2 members of BBC, while the other 2 are sitting right pretty much nestled in between everyone else there. Black Clover is quite close to them, and I think UAE is quite close to them as well. And wow, it's not going to be a fun time to get out of that situation for now, though. That early rotation might save them, though. The 2 members in the zone, they can sit and wait to potentially hold on to a position here for them. As we look at it, though, 60... Ooh, okay, never mind. I don't get to finish my sentence. Matrix is going to be going down. The solo there for Undisputed AE, finishing in 6th place. That's not too bad. Placement points are going to be there for it. BBC now looking to try and stay alive. As I remind you, only 2 members alive for BBC. Black Clover now also taking quite a bit of pressure here, trying to hold on to it. They are firing back, and they're actually going to be securing Fear out of the game as they go down in 5th place. And ooh, there it is. BBC Fear unfortunately dropping, and Hamady still putting in more pressure. Just the shots are coming through. We're down to our top 3 now. And it's a question. I mean, we've got a solo player, we've got 2 remaining for BBC, and then we've got all 3. All 3 coming through here. And top 2, here we at. BBC under a little bit of pressure here because all 4 of Rainbow Six are alive and well, for the most part here. We've got 1 member, unfortunately, a little bit isolated, but he's slowly but surely moving through. It's going to be Lord and his teammate that have to work it out here. You can see that nade just beautifully primed is going to take Kaiden out, and Lord just looking to finish it off. Take 1 member away from Rainbow Six. That's at least a fantastic start. Now we're looking at a 2v3, which is a little bit more palatable. That's a little bit more doable, and we've pretty much got an idea of where they're at, right? If we're BBC. If we're not, we're in a bit of trouble here.
Yeah, this is a really tough spot to be in. Rainbow Six, they could get everything they want, or they could lose it all depending on how BBC are able to play this one. At the very least, we're seeing BBC in the top 2 here, which is great because this team is a team that's been wanting to be known as the heavy hitters here, and they've been doing so well in terms of their rotational capabilities, and that's what we've come to know them for. But they have also proven that they are quite just as formidable as a team capable of taking the fights, taking the defenses, taking those chickens away, and moving themselves up that leaderboard. So this is going to be right along the edge. The shots comes in, Lord, very low on HP, and up comes that blue zone to just put the extra pressure on. He has no choice to push forward, putting in those shots, but will get taken down immediately. That's going to leave Nahal as the last one left. He's in a very tough spot. Up comes the blue zone.
Oh, no.
He's cornered inside the hut. He has no choice. This is it. Or up come Rainbow
There's
Six,
nothing
and
for
this
him to
should
do.
be the final play right there. Down he goes, and Rainbow Six will actually find the chicken dinner. Entirely unexpected, but there it is. Rainbow Six Madagascar will be the winner chicken dinner winners for Miramar in the last game of the evening.
Wow, that's not at all something that we were expecting. Rainbow Six, it's not a team that we were talking about. It's not at all the team that we mentioned in the slightest. And here they are to prove us wrong and take it. Of course, BBC ending up in 2nd place, and Influence Rage Africa taking the 3rd placement there. Not too bad in terms of kills all around. Ultimately, Lord doing everything for BBC there, finishing with 4 kills. But I think that was a pretty good round. It's bizarre to me how Temper ended up actually dying, running in through. They they really got caught out. And I mean, time after time, they managed to stay alive. I still don't know how. They managed to keep taking on the fights and just by the skin of their teeth getting to the next one.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rainbow Six Madagascar showing that they can listen to the words of us in the room and move themselves up the leaderboard. They were straggling down at the bottom, but as we can see, Rainbow Six Madagascar has done the business and got some points on the board with a winner with a chicken dinner. I did say that one of the teams would surprise us today. Let's look at this today, but talk us through this, Patchy.
Yeah, well, it's 15 placement points for that winner chicken dinner, and 10 kills is going to give them 10 points for a total of 25. That's a formidable number for a team like Rainbow Six to be putting down on the board. Now, of course, it's not going to be the absolute saving grace, but that's definitely going to try and get them out and secure themselves very far away from that relegation zone. Of course, second place, Influence Rage Africa coming in with 18 points. BBC with that second place going to give them the 12 placement points, putting them in third for the leaderboard for that match. Black Clover coming in fourth place, 9 points. G3 Temper, very surprisingly, not coming in the top 3, but they will find themselves in top 5, at least coming in 5th place with 9 points as well. Fear also putting themselves on the board at least 6th position with 7 points. Undisputed AE coming out of that in 7th place with 5 points, and Spaza 6 taking up that 8th position with 4 points. And then, of course, moving on into the next page, Zero Tolerance Skills in the 9th position with 4, as well as Not Gaming with 4 in 10. We've got Ultra 6 with 3, as well as Aphelion Apex with 3 in 11th and 12th, respectively. Immortalz coming in with 2 in 13th, and the Blank Legion coming away with nothing in that 14th spot. So some work has been done by Rainbow Six Madagascar, and so it is no surprise that Kidden, with the 6 kills in for Rainbow Six Madagascar, is going to be coming in with that MVP, coming in with some serious points for the team. And this is it. Rainbow Six have shown us that they can at least make something happen. They can get those chickens if they want to.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the action. Take a look at the overall leaderboard and let's see the changes that have happened after these few games.
Oh, 166.
Temper. And, you know, that's the case we were talking about. They rotated early on to that wonderful mountain with the beautiful skills of the Spider-Man buggy, ultimately just able to just take shots, take kills, steal kills where they can. As soon as they see a fight, able to take that away. And then somehow their rotations, they were still getting success, and that is leading them such a beautiful gap now between first and second place, second of course being Gun. Looking at, you know, some of the teams that were in tonight's group, Zero Tolerance Skills is someone I really want to shout out to, because they haven't been getting all those chicken dinners, but look at that. They are managing to get themselves up to top 3 currently in the overall leaderboard. Influence Rage Africa also doing beautiful work. Immortalz, Aphelion Apex, Undisputed AE as well, a team that we were waiting for them to do the good work, and they managed to do it. BBC as well, a team that we witnessed tonight, really fantastic work. They managed to get their first chicken dinner, and that is such a good, you know, boost your vibe overall. Rainbow Six Madagascar, look at that, top 13 now. There it is, and Spaza 6 coming through. And Not Gaming as well. I mean, they literally jumped massively up to this point, right? With 78 points, they are sitting so close to, you know, maybe even moving up even more. And here it is, the last little bit of leg of safety net that you can work with. Ultra 6, Black Clover, they're sitting right. They are still in the safety zone. And it's that next page that we talk about. It's that next page of teams that are really under pressure. And I mentioned it before. Fear, one of the teams that unfortunately have dropped out. Blank Legion, another team that's dropped out, you know, into that bottom 25 to 30. So for them, next time they go up against whatever group they are fighting against, they need to pull out all the stops. They literally have nothing to lose. They are the team that, without a doubt, can take the most risks, because at this point, they need to.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, look at 25, 26, and 27th position. They all have 51 points.
51
that
points.
Is close.
Yeah. So it shows that it's still up for grabs. Ladies and gentlemen, the action never stops on the Umzansi Esports League. Season 3 brought to you by Nodwin Gaming. But tonight, it does have to stop. But we'll be back tomorrow with more action from the Umzansi Esports League brought to you by Nodwin Gaming. I want to say a big thank you to Apache and Esproxy for bringing us all that action, all the analytics today. Had an exciting gameplay. If you're not following Nodwin Gaming on all our socials, make sure you do so now so you stay up to date with all the action, stats, and information from the Umzansi Esports Leagues and all our other esports brands. My name is Dr. Sid. Have a very good night, and we'll see you tomorrow for more action.